All right. Look at this. I think we're getting started. Okay, I can move this around. Hit that like and subscribe, everybody. Be up in just 1 minute. We are now on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch, on Substack, and because one for the stupids, we're on Rumble as well. Well, we'll see if we're on Facebook because it's a little touchy. And we're also on Instagram. As of right now. Go Instagram low. Go. Click, go. There we go. Now it's live. That's what it feels like. What's happening? Look at the Substack folks on here. Very exciting. Let me get my clips together and I'll be with you guys in just 1 moment. Settle in. Let's go. Gather in, hit that like. All right, let's get this started. I'm feeling it right now. I'm feeling it. Let's jump right in here. Welcome to the show, everybody. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Welcome. Look at this. We're up and running, and I think we're up and running on Substack as well. Is that craziness? It is. Look at that. I'll pause it for a second. Give us some love over there. That's fantastic. Mark, you misspelled HEIST, but that's forgivable at this point. I'm firing on all cylinders. See, because I got to tell you, kids, I have no reason to trust the social media companies because I'm not under the illusion that this is the public square. I don't know where that crap started, and people need to get over it. The social media companies are companies, and they are as useful as they are profitable to you and the investors or the people behind them. That's it. They are not public services. They are not free. Any more than a payphone is free. I mean, they're great for changing clothes if you're Superman. Hi there. But I got to be honest, like this, it's a little stupid, ladies and gentlemen, how people will take, they will talk about Twitter or Facebook or any of these sites because of, I think you're lured into comparatively what it would take for me to get a show like this on friggin' cable access would be hundreds, if not thousands of dollars previous, just because they wouldn't have the gear I'd want, and I'd have to bring in the whole spaceship and set it up and make sure that the stars move and create my own little clickables down here, right? That would be, necessary for me to feel like I'm delivering the show I want to, and that would be a lot of money even for cable access standards. If I wanted to do it on a regular network, if I could, if they would give me a pass for all the grown-up words I use, fuck, shit, piss, cock, sucker, motherfucker, tits, then, obviously that would make it impossible. This is why this show is not on MSNBC, besides also my sex appeal. Apparently, they got a rule against it there. I've gotten too sexy too fast. Just get used to it. But the idea is like just the ability to do this is so extraordinary that to kind of write it off as because it's kind of free compared to the tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars you would have had to pay for a similar service to interact with somebody on a television show and all that kind of, the impossibility of it heretofore. In that, I would argue, and by the way, let me bring in the chat room because I think you guys should be a part of this. I get it. I get it that it's extraordinary, but it ain't yours. It's not mine. It's a private industry has created a service that they can monetize at the same time they provide and there's always that trade-off between how much of a service it is versus how much you can make money from it and the balance therein. And that's always going to be there for private social media companies. And until we have, because America and Al Gore gave the world the internet, a cable access version of social media where every American citizen, because of the grace of their social security card, is allowed to have a channel of their own, which we're not far from that if you've watched Videodrome. Until that time, you're at the whim of social media companies. And that is why I don't want to hear any bitching on my side of the aisle or anybody else's, for that matter, about shadow banning or the algorithm messing with you. Tough. That's life in the Wild West, kids. There's no getting around it. This ain't our town. We're just camping here. And some are better than others. Obviously, the system that Blue Sky is built on is freer than all the other systems because you own your stuff, you own your account, and if you decide to shut it down one day, you can take all the stuff that's involved in it and put it someplace else because it's basically on the Mastodon architecture, and that means the open internet. Threads is also in a similar system, except it's under the TOS of Facebook and Meta and all that kind of stuff, but it still basically works the same. That if you have if I allocate my address on Blue Sky, which is at halsparks.com, because I have that website, I can move my account anywhere I want and access through multiple Mastodon type interwebs using that address. That's the future. That's the way it should be. That way you can have your own website. And if you don't have one right now and you do any of this kind of stuff, get one, will you? Just go squat on your name, even if you haven't done it yet. Good Lord. At this point, I don't understand why, if people have a child, they don't just get thechilds.com just as a birthday gift, just a literal birthday. So anyways, the point I'm trying to make, if I am trying to make one at all, is that we serve at the whim of the interweb gods. And so I will, on the one hand, I'm not going to trust any one site, put all my eggs in one basket, because that's stupid. It also helps them, the more stringent they are with their choice of where you can park your shit. And they're like, if you can only park it here. If you don't park it elsewhere, eat me. It's just dumb. Why would I do that? Just so you can shut me down later? Because that way, let's say I take my whole fan base, my followers, everybody, and I move them into one garage, and then you blow the place up. Forget it. It's dumb. So the goal should be your show, your message, yourself, your account is your shit, and you should be able to tendril it out to wherever you want. So that's what I'm doing all the time. Long story short, too late. We're live streaming vertically. And I'm sorry I can't do it horizontally. Substack. On Substack and Instagram, vertical. And on all the other sites, horizontally. Yes. I'm just feeling that way because I have a very Morris Day feel, kind of mustache going on. I understand. The rest of me screams Sturgis. And when I put my hair halfway back, it's like Elf at Sturgis. I get it. And I'm okay with that. Georgina says, just can't lose you, Hal. I'll follow you anywhere. Well, Georgina, I feel like that's my responsibility. You shouldn't have to follow me anywhere. I should go to you. You have a site. You have a place you want to, engage in your social media poison of choice. Aces. Knock yourself out. I give a shit. Right? Because the key, more than anything, ladies and gentlemen, the key is that you cannot rely on billionaires and gazillionaires to subsidize your existence. Just, it would be nice. Sure. But you just can't. And Bobby, you absolutely can comment. But it depends on what you want to comment about. And thank you guys for the super chats and the memberships. And I am not, for the Substack new folks, I don't paywall anything. So if you're looking for extra stuff by subscribing that I don't say to other people, fuck that. I don't do it. I think the whole point is if you believe in a message, it should get to as many people as possible, and people should only support it if they want to extend that message, not have special access to it. So anybody who has their behind the paywall members only half of their show can fuck off. Other than that, I have no opinion. Now, that said, should we get on with the show? I have been all afternoon. I've been blushing at the impact that my show on Friday and the show on Saturday on the radio show, Hal Sparks Radio program, Megaworldwide, where I dedicated the first hour of the show to the fact that Doge is a heist. Ladies and gentlemen, hashtag Doge is a heist. It's a heist. They're not working for free. They're getting paid in the back end. All the Doge bags that work for Elon Musk and Elon Musk himself are not going to benefit from any. There is no fee anyone could pay them to do this work that is worth more than what they will get having access to the private information of all Americans, our Consumer Financial Protection Bureau background, everybody's credit scores, everybody's social security numbers, like the access to, I guess, FBI background checks, and the ability to either use that as leverage for themselves against, I don't know, government and high officials, right? Or the wealthy among them, right? I suppose that would be a thing. Or simply to parlay it later. I mean, what better sales figures could you possibly need? What would you rather train your algorithm on than all the data on all Americans and the access that, you have to their stuff? So, and don't get me started on feeding it into Grok, which is a crime. And if they do it, jail. That's it. But the question is, will, Dan Bongholio and Kash Patel, Captain Cuckoo Eyes, will they bother to go after them, or will they fear the dirt that Musk and those guys find on them when they get their files? Information being power in this situation, is that the biggest part that they're scared of? So I went over, let me see if I can bring this up right now. And by the way, while you're at it, hit the like, especially, thank you, not this dummy, not today. It's a great name on there. And thank you, Andrea, for popping onto the Blue Sky and letting everybody know what my, onto Substack and let them know what my Blue Sky handle is. But I was looking at, let's see, where is it? Earlier today, we didn't get a chance to look at I think the third segment of Trump's Elon Musk interview, and I want to address a little bit of that today as well, because we didn't do that third part of it. There's also something. Yeah, here it is. This is the one I wanted to show you guys prior out of the gate. Okay, so let's start out. Let's see. Okay, her name is Whitney Webb. That's the name. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you. For those of you who don't know, this is Peanut Butter Dickhead. I only go by his initials, PBD. Also, why are you using both letters in a hyphenate? As a man. Why wouldn't it just be PB? And then you should have a sidekick named Jerry and your show PB and J. And it could be the PB and J hour. And then the funny part is you guys would have to keep on brand, eat PB and J the entire time. And then you would get jelly on your fingertips, or honey and banana if you're feeling Elvis that day. And then every time you try to pick up a piece of paper, it sticks to your hands. I think that would be great. And then we wouldn't hear the rest of the interview because of all the extra noises that would come from. Peanut Butter Dickhead has a woman on his show. Her name is Whitney Webb, and Whitney Webb has written multiple books about Jeffrey Epstein. And she's probably more dug in on this stuff than anybody. And if you listen to her talk, like, it is the ultimate conspiracy. Like, everybody's attached to this, and it's like it's some underground Mossad overwhelming the CIA, blah blah blah, controlling everyone, and that there was a two-tier setup. I don't know if she talks about it in this one. There's a two-tiered setup between between Epstein and the underage girls, and Epstein had his own corral of age women, including Selena Middlefart, Trump's girlfriend he was dating. No, I'm not kidding. That's her real name, Middlefart. Trump was dating her before he dated Melania, who he also met through Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. So, Peanut Butter Dickhead is one of these guys who is always pushing this whole Epstein thing, but has been totally pro-Trump. And I don't get the disconnect. I honestly don't. Why in the ever-loving hell? Because some people go like, you have Trump derangement syndrome and all that kind of stuff if you don't like him or if you don't support him. I don't need another reason. I will argue politics and the idiocy, take his same policies and have fucking Rick Santorum do them. And I would argue that the policies are still disgusting and stupid and, ill-conceived and poorly executed and all the issues that I have with them. But Donald Trump was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for a quarter decade, for at least 25 years that we know of. He partied with the dude. And my question has always been to any maggot that joins in the chat or shows up anywhere, bless your hearts for coming in here, and I thank you. And I've yet to have one give me a solid answer on this, but my question is always, how long would it take you being friends with Jeffrey Epstein before you knew he was a pedophile? How long? A year? 2 years? 5 years? 7 years? Would you have known in 9 years? In 12 years, could you have figured out that Jeffrey Epstein, 15 years, you've known him for 15 years, have you figured out yet that he's a ped? 17 years, 19 years, 21 years you've hung around this dude. Your friendship is too old for him to date. Would you have realized that he's a pedophile? 25 years these dudes were friends. And Trump is still friends, for all practical purposes, with Ghislaine Maxwell after she was put in jail for being his like madam, like pre-groper who would go around and like scoop up poor high school girls in the Palm Beach area. He still wished her well when she went to prison. They're still friends. He's still close to her. How long would it take you? How long would it take you? And then, here's the other thing. How long after you figured it out, and this is the moral question, would it have taken you to do something? Let's say you didn't know in the first 5 years. You didn't see him that much. And you heard some rumors, but people don't like people who are rich and they blah, 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 right? 5 years. But then in the 6 years, the sixth year of hanging out with this person, you went to another party and you're like, wait a fucking second, hold on. I recognize her. My daughter goes to her high school. Hold on. How long? 2 more years? 5 more years? 7 more years? A decade. 2 decades. Is that how long it would have taken you after it took you 5 years to figure out Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile? Would it have taken you 2 decades to tell him to fuck off? I don't care how codependent you are. Explain this to me. Explain this to me. All right, now, this guy loves him some Donald Trump. Thinks Trump, everything he's doing is great. Flawless victory all the time. There's no limits on, Trump is the greatest businessman ever. Everything he touches turns to gold. den shit, but whatever. He's a big fan. And why he brought on Whitney Webb to discuss the Epstein thing either shows that he just has no clue that both Trump and Elon Musk are tied to Maxwell and to Epstein, or he doesn't believe it, or he wants to bring her on to, I don't know, talk her down. I don't get it. Let's see.
When I see, the questions with Elon Musk is, hey, he announced a CEO, the new CEO that's coming, the ex-NBC Universal lady who comes in and, World Economic Forum, everybody's losing their minds. I asked a question. I did a poll the other day on Twitter. Rob, if you pull it up.
Oh, by the way, who he's talking about is that Musk brought in a new CEO to run Twitter, and she worked at the World Economic Forum, and she used to do media for Universal Media Group, and everybody considers her a friend of Klaus Schwab or all that shit. So they're like, why her? Because you're a sucker? That's why?
I said good hire, bad hire, let's wait and see. Good hire was 6%. Wow. Bad hire was like 20-something%. Let's wait and see was like 60-something%.
Okay. Why did let's wait and see was 60-something%? Because he asked his followers. His followers are always going to give Musk and Trump the benefit of the doubt. It's not even a real poll. I mean, it's a Twitter poll anyways, but it's also not a real indication of how the public feels about it, but he kind of thinks there is. Again, I always go back to that line in Mindhunter where Edmund Kemper is being interviewed by the guys from the FBI, and he says to them, it seems to me all your insights about serial killers have been gotten from the ones you've been able to catch. This is when somebody talks about a poll like this that they do on their channel on effectively Stormfront's chatbot over on X, and they talk about it like it's a real opinion. Yike.
Right, on what people want to see. But when that was made, the same day or the next day after he made the hire, you saw the article comes out about Musk. You saw what Soros article comes out, and you see what Musk out of nowhere, if you want to pull up what Musk tweets at Soros the next day, calling him, Soros is Magneto. And then
I didn't see that.
Oh, you didn't see this. He says Soros is Magneto.
I may have been traveling when this happened.
Yeah,
so.
I'm sure. So he says, Soros is.
Yeah, by the way, for the record, Magneto in the X-Men thing, especially in the new version of how they were telling the story, became the sort of Malcolm X to Professor X's MLK. That that they both believed that that mutants should be free, but Magneto believed that you were going to have to wipe out the normies to do it, right? And that they can't coexist. That was Magneto. Guess which one of those people in that storyline MAGA sides with? You think MAGA goes for the Professor X version of how life is, and that you can share the world with people who are less powerful than you? Or do you think they themselves think Magneto was right? So even on the level of being like culturally stupid, Musk doesn't even have a grip on what his own followers feel about the story.
Magneto, if you want to show this tweet, Soros reminds me of Magneto, right? And this thing just takes off 42 million views on this tweet.
Yeah, that's how many bots are on the channel. Again, you don't actually think this is real, do you?
Yeah. So everybody's responding. I can't believe you said this. He's trying to do this. The reality is Magneto was also a guy that dealt with the Holocaust, and the story is a survivor of it, and that's kind of what he's going through. So it's really a cause behind it. Anyways, so my concern becomes when somebody that's been, here's what I'm for this, I'm for that, I'm for this, we got to get off of advertisers. We got to be doing all subscription. All of a sudden, you bring in an advertising agency, a veteran in the marketplace to go and get advertisers. And she's a BlackRock, edifying Larry Fink, edifying fake news is not real.
Am I mean, this is a weird question to be asking, but am I a complete fucking sucker? Yes, you are. Yes, that's the question you want to ask. Are you a gullible asshole? Yes, you're a gullible asshole. You are so busy lining up to gargle Musk's balls because of the illusion that he's a genius, because he's had fuck you money to pad his mistakes, just like Trump his entire goddamn life, that you saw a world where you could carve off a piece of that or get close to him. And if you had, 6 million followers on your channel, maybe he'll come on as a guest and then you'll pitch him your fucking app. That's what yes, you're a sucker.
Something happened. Did they find, or that's the part that kind of throws me off sometimes.
No. Why does it throw you off? No, it doesn't. Okay, I take it back. It doesn't throw him off. It does not. You don't get to pretend to be fucking stupid. That's not how it works. You can't tell everybody you know how everything works. Dear God, his videos on China are some of the dumbest shit I have ever seen in my life. Next to the videos he puts up about AI. Woof. Idiocy. But you don't get to fall back when you're telling everybody you're an expert on stuff that you're like, this just something doesn't add up. We're not even to the point where there's an equation here, dumbass. The figures themselves are fiction. It ain't math, it's prose, and it's been bullshit from the start, dummy. No, you weren't played. You lined up to be played. You can't even claim that you were taken. You served yourself up.
Well, I think some of these, I see Elon Musk as a person who has a very specific persona he wants to project to the public, and then there's business Musk, right? And I don't think...
Yes, the public-facing one is bullshit, and the behind-the-scenes one is a profit-driven megalomaniac who really thinks the best kind of money in the world is federal dollars.
They're necessarily always the same person. So, for example, Elon Musk, a lot of people maybe forget, he's a big military contractor. And also, the Space Force, that's also an intelligence agency. So he's technically a military and intelligence contractor. In order to keep your contracting business with those things, there's certain rules you have to play by, and certain things I would assume you can and can't say, or you'll lose those lucrative contracts. And if you look at someone like Elon Musk and his business history, a lot of his companies would not have been successful, would not have been successful without significant subsidies from the government.
Can I just thank you, Whitney Webb. Thank you, Whitney Webb, for saying those words on this channel to those assholes. The only company that Elon Musk has that does not require federal dollars to stay afloat is the one that's sinking, X. Twitter doesn't turn a profit. The profit for him is in the manipulation of the political electorate so that he can get his federal programs and payments everywhere else. It's a device. It's a necessary means to an end, but it itself is not... in any way profitable. And on top of that, he didn't buy it. Can we do that too? Can we settle that bullshit once and for all? Elon Musk did not buy Twitter. Elon Musk leveraged some of his stock from Tesla, which ain't worth as much as it was when he leveraged it, took some cash he had on hand, borrowed some money from banks, and then got the Saudis and Sean P. Diddy Combs, who he had on speed dial, to throw money behind this effort. That's right. Elon Musk doesn't own Twitter. He co-owns Twitter with MBS and Diddy. Think about that. And remember the whole Diddy stuff, and that they're business partners in terms of, I think, $1.2 billion that Sean Combs kicked in on this deal with Sean Combs Investments, or whatever the fuck he was shepherding his money through. Yeah. If you're using Twitter right now, if you're a user of Twitter right now, you are subsidizing Musk, and you are also subsidizing P. Diddy's defense. You are paying, that's where the money to pay his lawyers is coming from. If he makes any money off of it from you using Twitter, you're paying his lawyers. You're paying Diddy's lawyers right now. And it's not even like, well, OJ, so I won't rent a Hertz car because he used to. No. This is direct. Again, people are like, I didn't know that. Really? Really, kids? Hold on. One moment, please. And I gotta say, I don't know why people don't know this. I'm Substack, Instagram, folks. Hi. Do you guys know this? Do you know this? There was a federal lawsuit about his deal because he didn't pay arbitration fees in the deal to take over Twitter. And let's see. Yeah, here you go. Who was in it? The list includes entities connected to Sean Diddy Combs, that's his company, Combs Investments Limited, Prince Alawid bin Talal Al Saud, as well as billionaire hedge fund manager Bill Ackman and Oracle co-founder and dude who's been hanging around the fucking White House and has been put in charge of shit and given a giant contract by Donald Trump, Larry Ellison. Ellison's a co-founder and co-owner in X. The $44 billion purchase, company, of course, fought to hide the names of its investors, citing that no publicly held corporation owns 10% or more, but a journalist reports positions at global market. In the court order mandating the social media platform release a list of non-redacted names, the court maintained that X had put itself in a position that it now found itself in. The platform, however, decided to move the case to the Northern District of California to try and avoid it. Then the federal judge said, here respondents have presented little more than conjecture in support of their position. The disclosure statement does not contain any scandalous information or trade secrets on the record before it. The court is unable to discern a factual basis for sealing the disclosure. And poof. According to Fortune, Jacob Silverman, the journalist who worked with the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press, told the outlet it was important to the public to see who was potentially influencing the platform. And they were the Washington Post was this is the full list. There, Adram, ABC, Ashford Partners, Andrea Strappa, Arc Venture, which is I think Kathy, what's her name? Like she invests in everything, digital. Dayton Family Enterprises, DFJ Growth. And then there's the Fidelity Blue Chip Growth Fund. Yeah. So this is, by the way, this is who owns X. Jack Dorsey had to lend his hand to it. He owns a little piece of it. He's got the revocable trust owns a part of it. I don't know that he bought more of it or was part of that. I think they couldn't sell his part. Larry Ellison, there it is. His revocable trust owns part of it. Linda Yee and Robert and Wren Family Foundation. I mean, look at these folks. And then down here, Sean Combs Capital LLC, to the tune of about $1 billion. This is who owns Twitter, not Elon Musk. Elon Musk's ownership is down here, X Holdings Investment LLC. That's him. He's last on the list alphabetically in this circumstance. That's who owns Twitter, along with all these other folks. The Chung and Chen Family Trust, Brookfield Project, Bandera Fund. Also, yeah, his as a personal owner, this is him too. Elon Musk as a trustee of the Elon Musk Revocable Trust. From July 22nd, 2003. So he used money from that irrevocable trust, basically to pair it to that, I guess. Fidelity Contra Fund, these different versions of them. These are also shuffled. A lot of this is this is the hidden money. This is the Russian money right here. Fidelity Securities Fund and all this stuff. They're using these to we'll do it through a Fidelity fund. So you don't have to say. So it's the New Insights Fund, sub A and B. The Contra Fund, so that's how people secondarily hide who they are. So welcome to the day Where can you find that document? I will, as a matter of fact, folks, I'm going to post this little fella in the chat and on the Substack in the chat right there. Dink, there you go. That's the link. And I will also put it in here. And close this guy down to get out of here. Where's my chat? There you are. In here, guys, I'll pop it in the chat for you guys to see. This is the owner. This has a list of the owners of Doink. That right there. That link right there that I just posted. That's who owns X. Aren't you so glad you watched the show today? Aren't you so glad that I present you with these kind of details? Isn't that nice? Isn't that awfully friendly of me to do that for you? You're right. Okay, now let's go back to here. Whitney Webb, as she's just deflating balloons all over Peanut Butter Dickhead's studio.
So, I feel like in order to get those deals, there's certain rules you have to abide by to an extent, at least when it comes to your business decisions and certain things, right? So maybe he wants to project, this persona of like, I'm one of the bros, I'm one of the guys, I believe in free speech and all of this. And certainly when he bought Twitter, that's what he said. But then it became, oh yeah, free speech, but not freedom of reach. And now it's sort of changing again with the appointment of this new CEO. And again, I don't really have any high hopes, and I didn't necessarily when Musk bought Twitter, just because I tend to be kind of skeptical and I guess you could probably say cynical about these types of
Okay, so this is Linda Yaccarino. This is who became the CEO, and this is her World Economic Forum page, and they're popping it up on the screen. And you can just hear the Trump boners starting to wilt all around that room. That suddenly it's turning into their dicks turn to butter, hearing that their hero Elon Musk might be full of shit. From the jump.
Types of people. And, I personally, just from my own, experience with Epstein research, I have found Musk not to be very upfront about some of those connections there. So, for example...
Yeah, don't get me started on Chomsky.
He'll be like, a lot of people like to bring up the picture of him and Ghislaine Maxwell from 2014. He'll say he was photobombed and all of this. But, he won't bring up the fact, well, at least reporters seem to have forgotten that Kimball Musk, his brother, who's on the board of Tesla and SpaceX, was introduced to a member of Epstein's entourage who had dated Epstein and lived at the apartments on 301 66th Street East, where all these traffic girls lived. A girl from there starts dating Kimball Musk, and somehow Epstein is allegedly granted access to SpaceX facilities and tours, and then is allegedly advising Tesla, according to the New York.
Man, PBD over there is pretty fucking quiet. What do you think you think those guys are going to go, now hang on a second. I've met Elon Musk, and he doesn't come off as a guy who would be a friend of Epstein's. You've met Trump too, and you somehow think that he isn't, and he is.
Times reporter James Stewart, who was told by someone else that Epstein was advising Tesla, and then goes before Epstein's 2019 arrest and most of his public infamy, goes and asks him about if the rumors were true, and Epstein says yes. And this is during a time when Musk is saying he's trying to secure capital to take Tesla private, I believe, and this was allegedly involving one of the Saudi wealth funds of the Saudi government.
Yeah, same guys who helped him buy Twitter.
And at that time, Epstein was a very, very close advisor to Mohammed.
And I gotta say, credit where credit is due. PB Dickhead and those guys at the show are not afraid to pop these things up all of a sudden. I don't know how you dodge this stuff, though.
Bin Salman, who had recently come to power. And if you remember back to when the Epstein story the scandal sort of broke in 2019, it wasn't just talking about his townhouse having all these pictures of him and Clinton. There were a lot, probably as much as Clinton, of Epstein with MBS, Mohammed bin Salman.
What's the relationship? That's pretty random for a Jewish businessman with maybe ties to the Mossad to be doing business with
Well,
the Saudi
yes,
kingdom,
but,
MBS?
Yes, but Mohammed bin Salman was brought to power in a way that was very uncharacteristic for Saudi Arabia. You know, there it's not father to son hierarchy, right? It's like seniority within the royal family. Usually it's like elderly uncles that become the next crown prince and whatnot. And he was very young in his 30s when he came to power. And he hammered out things like the Abraham Accords with people like Jared Kushner. He was texting Jared Kushner all the time, who, of course, has a very close relationship with the Netanyahu family, for example. So, again, that seems rather uncharacteristic as well. And it's very possible that, you know, given the geopolitical plays in the Middle East and North Africa, a lot of that often has to do with, you know, people that are either for or against Israel. You know, what government's going to shifting the balance of power there, normalizing relationships with Israel. And so the Abraham Accords obviously were a huge step towards normalizing the relationship with Israel in the region. And they may have seen, you know, oh, there's this upstart prince that's really ambitious, and if we can get him in, then maybe he'll help us push that normalization just a bit further. Also,
he's trying to get away from oil, and Saudi Arabia now has two streams, two possibilities to salvage the country from the resource curse. The primary one was that it was always oil, it was about oil, and they could hand out money willy-nilly. But now they hit peak oil a lot earlier than people think. Their output is very low comparatively. They have used a lot of like faux posturing about we're going to tamp down on the amount of oil and we're going to, to jack up the price and all those kind of things. They've been fucking around with that for a while, but the reality is they're actually doing it because they don't have the oil to sell. So it's a more limited resource than they're letting on, essentially. And so they have two options. One is Mecca and Medina. Every Muslim in the world, there's 1 billion plus of them, that have to at some point in their life go to Mecca and Medina. So you're guaranteed, and that's without the free repeaters. That you're guaranteed this audience of humans that have to come to your country as tourists, and you make them stick around for 5 to 8 days, and you can milk the shit out of them. And there's your, that's your baseline that keeps the lights on, right? And the rest of it is they took what money they did have left over in their sovereign wealth fund that was coming from the oil, and they started investing it in tech and upstart stuff, just seeing if any of it would pop off. They also were one of the first countries, Saudi Arabia, to give robots and artificial intelligence citizenship. Now, why would you give an AI or a robot citizenship? Well, because under that same rule that gives them citizenship, you also tax them at 100%. AI and robots are taxed at 100%. In Saudi Arabia, meaning you take this robot, you take this computer, and you turn it into a crypto mine, and every cent it makes, basically mining crypto gold for you, you get to keep because you tax it at 100%. Anybody who comes there and tries to do that, you tax them at 100%. Got it? Okay. It's a scam. They don't think robots or AI are going to be conscious anytime soon. They want 100% government funds from the slave labor.
So, there's a lot of question marks there, but it seems to me that may have been something to do with it. And I also think this might be the thread to pull on to find out the real reason Epstein was arrested in 2019. Because if you think about who MBS took out, Mohammed bin Nayef, that guy was very, very close to John Brennan, who was the CIA director. And John Brennan was very unhappy with MBS's rise to power. And if you have Epstein close to MBS, John Brennan, who's also a big guy behind Russiagate and all of this stuff, and around MBS you have Kushner, right? You have Epstein. It seems like there's two intelligence-linked factions sort of duking it out. And if Epstein was on one side and the other side sort of wanted to send a message to that side,
the article I think you're talking about, Jeffrey Epstein claimed he was helping Elon Musk find a new chairman for Tesla. That's is one of the stories. Yeah, that's one of the stories. But again, to me, there's two different stories.
Yeah. Now, this is the part where this guy picks up the shovel and tries to dig himself out. This is Whitney Webb. She's written a couple of books about Epstein. She's on this all the time. You see her interviewed online. She just goes, that's all she does all day, every day is Epstein details and who he's connected to and all that kind of shit. Meanwhile, watch him try to like mop up the turds behind Elon Musk and Trump.
The one is, I did business with this guy. And Kimball, right now, I think he's got a vertical farming company. He's doing a whole different thing.
This is before.
This is before that, yeah. So two different things. So one, for example, I'll give you a crazy story. So I first come to Florida, okay? I'm doing a project, and it's called Mafia States of America. We're having it with all these ex-mob gangsters and people that are in that world. I go to this restaurant, Casa D'Angelo. First day I go there, the person I'm having dinner with is Michael Francis. Michael Francis was one of the top earners in the capo. He was a capo in the Colombo family. And he comes in, and this Casa D'Angelo place is ran by Italians. So they know who he is. Buonasera, they're talking to him, and we'll grab a seat. The next day, I go there with Chaz Palminteri, the actor from Bronx Tale, and he's done a bunch of mob movies, and he looks like, so he's got a incredible one-man show. So he comes with me next time. So, buonasera. Okay, great. The third time I go eat at this Italian restaurant, I bring Sammy the Bull Gravano, okay? And they see Sammy, they lose their minds. Like, holy shit, Sammy the Bull Gravano, the former underboss of the Gambino family, is here.
Was there not another restaurant in the fucking city? Dude, it sounds like you were trying to, like, score sideline funding, that you wanted to be their next car wash, if you know what I mean.
We're sitting in the same table. By the fourth time, they thought I was an Italian gangster, okay? And I said, no, I'm from the Middle East. I am not. I'm just interviewing these guys because I have a relationship and I'm interested in that world. So,
oh, man. So this is going to be his way of saying, look, just because you're Jeffrey Epstein, and just because you go to dinner with 4 guys from Epstein's circle 4 nights in a row, that doesn't mean you're part of that world.
We're doing a documentary, a show on this. So the challenge becomes sometimes when you're seen, people love to jump to conclusion and say, well, this is what's going on. The part I want to isolate is the following with Musk.
Oh, man. Yeah, sure, he hung around with him for a long time, and they did business together and some of his money. I mean, but he didn't do any of the bad stuff. He didn't get on the Lolita Express and he went down there. He just took the guy's money that he made, I guess, leveraging politicians and rich people by, pimping out little girls. He just got that guy's money. I mean, he didn't do it himself. He just financially benefited from it, which is totally an innocent thing to do. Fuck off.
I think what Musk is doing, 100% there's the argument of what he's taking from public, government funding, SpaceX, all this other stuff, even Tesla. He has to answer to that, and that's part of, capitalism where you're getting money, all this stuff. That's a different story.
No, it's not capitalism. No, but part of capitalism is you get capital from private sources. That's not the capitalism. That would be the socialism part, stupid. And it's fascinating that when Obama and them were trying to help solar companies, they're picking winners and losers. But when you like Tesla, suddenly they picked a winner, so you ignore the whole fucking thing.
The part that I want to isolate is him being linked to what Epstein did with the curls.
Did you know? Yes. Did you do business with the guy? Yes. Fuck you, you're linked. What are you talking about? No. No. I have no doubt that there are people who met with Epstein before he was arrested and because he was running around in circles and he was a social and financial gadfly and was at stuff, and that were, maybe found him charming at a dinner party while he was talking, never did a follow-up, don't really care, were there with somebody else and that kind of shit, never did any work with him, never saw him again, or if they did, it was just kind of like, oh, wait, that's that guy who got arrested. What the fuck's he doing here? But no. If you did business with the guy during the time you knew what he was doing, you don't have to participate. You're an accessory after the fact. How do you like that? That's something. Ask your fucking mob friends. Fuck me. Ask your fucking mob friends. Go see those guys again and go, if you saw Epstein around, and you talked to him and stuff like that, wouldn't mean you were doing stuff with him, right? It wouldn't mean that your daughters were over there. It would just mean you knew the guy and maybe he had, a money deal with him or whatever. Do you think the mob guys would be okay with Jeffrey Epstein scooping high school girls out of West Palm Beach and selling them to Prince Andrew and people? You think the mob goes in for that kind of shit? Ask him, you fuckwad. Next time, God damn it, go ask Sammy the Bull Gravano if he has any fucking standards whatsoever. Ask him that question. Don't ask her, because I think she probably thinks the same way I do, which is fuck you. Go call those mob guys. Go, hey, if I was hanging out with, if I showed up at dinner 4 nights in a row with Jeffrey Epstein's business partners, what would you guys think? They would go, are you doing a documentary about him? No. Then I think you were one of his boys. Hey, did Musk do a documentary about Jeffrey Epstein? Did he help the information about Jeffrey Epstein get out in the years that he knew him? When he saw fucking Ghislaine Maxwell at multiple parties and they hung out and his brother was dating one of the girls that was in an apartment nearby where these underage girls were kept like a fucking barn.
There is nothing there with Musk.
No, not that I've seen with the girls,
Right.
but there are significant business ties. And what I just mentioned is part of that. Another part I cover in my book, it's related to these brothers that worked for Epstein and his brother Mark Epstein at OSA Properties, which has been tied to the sex trafficking operation, those apartments I mentioned earlier, owned by OSA Properties. So one of these two brothers, Jonathan Barrett, that worked directly for Epstein and then worked for Mark Epstein at OSA Properties, works for this company called Luminous. And Luminous is an affiliate or related to LS Power. LS Power is a major supplier to Epstein. And a lot of these directors for Luminous, for example, are the same people that were directors for the special investment vehicle that Epstein had with Bear Stearns called Liquid Funding. And also...
That's the one they got... that Bear Stearns got sued over.
In investment vehicles and companies tied to Glencore, which is Mark Rich, who's a well-known affiliate of, pretty much openly referred to as a Mossad asset and stuff like that. He was a commodities trader, a fugitive from the U.S. for a long time because of helping Israel avoid the oil embargo of Arab nations. For example, he was pardoned by Clinton really controversially. Allegedly, this was due to a lot of pressure put on Clinton by Ehud Barak at the time and things like that. So anyway, you have sort of those shared connections and the Kimball Musk thing. And then you have a woman.
There was a moment as she spoke where I realized I'd been had. But luckily, I'm great at bullshitting myself, so I pushed it out of my brain and went back to defending Musk and Trump with everything I had.
Named Nicole Junkerman that I wrote a lot about in the book, who has invested in recent years very extensively in SpaceX. And Nicole Junkerman, maybe I should backtrack a little bit before getting to Nicole. So basically, what I note in my book is that there's the sex trafficking operation of Epstein everyone knows about, but there seems to have been another parallel operation that he used for influence ops, I guess you could say, involving women, but they were of age. They were women that were well educated in some cases, and probably most of the cases, but at least a few cases we know about, Epstein financed their graduate education and helped connect them. They ended up marrying or dating powerful people sort of in his circle. So,
yeah, by the way, a system that the Russians perfected on a grander scale, never mind the big scale of like rich guys. Their big thing was like hooking up pretty like middle class Russian girls with guys with access throughout the government and the military. I knew this one dude and I was like, dude, you're an attractive, fun guy. You seem nice to be around or whatever. There is no real reason why that woman would be with you. That is she looked like a supermodel, and it wasn't because you guys hit it off right away. She was She was assigned.
So allegedly, Trump is one of these guys, right? So his girlfriend before Melania, Selena Middlefart, Epstein was taking her
Terrible
with him.
last name.
Yeah.
Horrible. Horrible name.
Well, she's Norwegian.
Spell that.
She's Norwegian, so
Also, Trump means fart.
maybe in
So
Norway.
it's like a P-F-A-R-T.
No,
it's fart.
It's spelled fart. It's middle fart. Yeah, she's a Norwegian heiress, very
tragic.
attractive despite the last name, I guess. Yeah, so that probably helped her out.
Good for her. That was
Yeah,
good.
but she and a couple of these other women that Epstein was taking to the Clinton White House in the '90s ended up marrying very powerful people.
Yeah, there she is dating Trump. There's two pictures of her and Trump.
And she dated Trump, and then allegedly Melania was introduced to Trump by Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein.
Wow.
They claimed that.
Who claims that?
I think it was either Ghislaine or Jeffrey Epstein
Yeah, Ghislaine had said it multiple times.
at some.
I mean, they're at a party together. There's a bunch. You know those pictures where they're all four of them together. There's another picture. I'd have to dig it up where of Trump and Ghislaine and Melania are chit-chatting in the
Point
background.
before their infamy.
They're saying
but
that's how Trump met Melania.
there's that
Epstein?
allegation that they were introduced to each other, but the modeling industry thing with Epstein and Ghislaine, remember, this is before they were infamous necessarily, at least publicly, and Trump likes models. I think we all know that.
That's
right?
not
So-
breaking news.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like
Look at the crisis of confidence that Peanut Butter Dickhead is having right now. I've been assigned a job. I must defend Herr Trump at all costs. But at the same time, how long could you be friends with Jeffrey Epstein before you knew he was a pedophile? I'd like to think 6 weeks max. Especially if you were partying that off, but a quarter century, I can't make that fit in my invitation to a party envelope size brain. All right.
it was, oh, look, meet Melania, who's underage.
Look, he seriously, this guy's just ignoring the whole conversation. Just plead the fifth later. But that's not the look of a man who is happy he invited her on the show. Just saying.
At the time, right? It wasn't like that. So again, if you're trying to secure influence with powerful people and you don't think they're susceptible to your sex blackmail op involving minors, you can be the matchmaker that sets them on the path to marital bliss, right? Because, whoever sets you up with your husband or wife, you might keep contact with for a long time, or if they come to ask for a favor, you might be willing to do so, right? So there's a few other cases where this happened.
Which, by the way, speaks to the sort of why, in some ways, Melania was willing to sign a prenup with Trump that he felt comfortable with, whereas other women might not, and that had more flexibility to it. And the reason was she might still be getting paid on the back end, as it were. That's how you do it as well. So the Epsteins of the world, or whoever he's handling her for, they pay you, to be their insider with this person forever, or for a 10-year contract or whatever. If you want to stick with them, that's up to you. But for the first 10 years, we got you covered. And if you want to get out and they hold the prenup over your head, you can go, well, I don't have to worry about that. Fuck you, because they've got money coming to them.
And one of these women is Melanie Walker, that we can talk about later because she's part of the Bill Gates Epstein connection.
This Junkerman lady, I'm curious.
Yeah, so Nicole Junkerman appears to be another one of these women.
So she's not an Instagram model.
No, but she was a model. She's a former model, and now she is married to some Italian oil billionaire.
Right.
Very, very wealthy. He's much older than her, I think, by
I saw that.
Yeah.
He's 63 or something like that, 66.
And she's very attractive, right?
Ferdinando Bracetti Peretti.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And so
Wait a minute, is that another guy that goes as PBD?
allegedly,
Fernando Bracetti Dickhead.
there was this meeting in September 2002 in the United Kingdom at a home that is owned by Wexner, and Nicole Junkerman was on Epstein's arm with an unknown brunette woman and was passed off to these two U.S. senators that were there. And the allegation, the implication there, which this is right before the Iraq War vote, Right. The allegation is that there may have been some sort of like sexual blackmail occurring there. But why is Nicole
Maybe.
Youngerman hanging out with Epstein and these senators at this place? It's a bit weird. And then
And then Musk makes her, hires her.
there's some other business.
And you know what? That's got to be totally a coincidence. That's got to be, because, sometimes you go to a restaurant, you're hanging out with Sammy the Bull Gravano, and you eat enough pasta over the week, and you start to smell like garlic, and everybody like, you Italian? You're like, no, I just smell like garlic because I've eaten here 4 times this week. What?
Connections over the years. So, for example, Carbine 911, which is this sort of emergency 911 call center app or something like that, that's being sold all over the United States. It was created mainly by veterans of Unit 8200, which is Israel's signal intelligence agency. It was chaired, and one of their main investors was Ehud Barak, who, of course, we know by now was very close to Epstein. And Barak urged Epstein to invest, at least of what we know, at least $1 million into that company. And apparently Leslie Wexner also invested a lot of money. And at that same time, of course, Ehud Barak was getting a bunch of money from the Wexner Foundation. There was some weird stuff going on there. But one of the directors at the time when Ehud Barak was on the board, and Pinchas Bucharest, who's former commander of Unit 8200, and some of these other guys in this network, Nicole Youngerman's on the board of directors as well. And now she's invested in SpaceX. So she's one of these sort of Bond girls, I guess you could say, that was sort of around Epstein in this category with Melanie Walker, and now,
You know what it is for me. Like, you can't.
Yeah. Go for it, man. Pat, dude, do your best. You got one last swing at it, or I'm pitching the video because we get it. Try to fucking clean this up one more time. Jesus Christ. Musk knew Epstein for at least a decade. His brother is dating or is in relationship with one of the girls that was more than likely kept underage in this fucking barn property that was like co-owned by, people that were in business with Epstein at the same time. They just met going to the grocery. Sure. And they started dating, and he never heard about what was going on there and never helped those girls get out. Never saved a fucking one. There's a little story with you. So let me get this straight. You're Dim Bulb Musk. You're Shemp Musk. You're the third Musk brother. And you're staying in an apartment paid for by your brother that you also bought yourself 3 times. And it's a money-making scheme. So it's fucking magic. And you don't go out very often. Occasionally you'll Jesse Smollett in the middle of the night out for a Subway sandwich. And while you're out, you meet this girl who's 19 years old, and you hit it off, waiting in line for your double meat sub, and she's getting like 9 sandwiches, and you go, she's very pretty and in relatively broken English, and you kind of go, you look, you put on a little weight there, you're gonna ruin your perfect figure, huh? I got the huh. What'd you say? Where are you going with all those sandwiches? And she goes, nowhere. And she pays for them, and she starts walking out, and she hands you a note that says, call me help. And you're like, help must mean she likes me. And you call her later on, and you meet for coffee, and you're chit-chatting like, hey, what did you get? I came here on a modeling contract. Well, I can see that. You're very attractive. That's great. Can we get the check, please, and stuff? Would you like any dessert? I'm not paying, but you could pick it up, whatever. I suppose you're full from those 9 sandwiches. No, my passport's been stolen. I'm being kept in a house by a man named Jeffrey Epstein, who's friends with your brother. Oh. So you're saying you don't want to go out again, or... You don't in that moment go, you're being what? I'm sorry, you where? Where are you staying? With who? How old are these girls? How'd they get here? What? How did you end? Are you guys in a fucking dance troupe? What is this? Yeah, I fell for a girl named Help. Right. You wouldn't go, wait a fucking second. Okay, look. Obviously, I don't want to put your life in danger. So here's what's going to happen. Give me all your information that we need I'm going to make some calls to the embassy, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure you don't get shoveled back home as a victim of this kind of stuff. But you're going to be at my house when the raid happens. So come over here, and we'll call it in, and they're going to send people over there. My brother knows people in the intelligence community because he has contracts with SpaceX. And when they raid the house, we'll make sure that the girls are taken care of, and this Epstein dude gets bounced like a fucking racquetball. Wouldn't that be sort of close to how shit would work out? I mean, the other version of it is fucking Taxi Driver, the end of Taxi Driver. You know, that's an option, which, I guess my version of that, I would be dragging a cinder block attached to a length of chain. But whew, I want to hear his cleanup.
You can't control who invests into your company. Okay.
Oh, the fuck you can't, buddy. What are you talking about? You can't? Of course you can. You can turn down criminals. If the mob comes to you and they're like, we want to invest, I got a truck full of cash here. You're like, yeah, I can't do that, man. This is like you're going to sink my fucking company. I appreciate the offer, but no. I mean, if you find some sort of vehicle to put it through that legalizes it, and I don't know about it, maybe you could. I mean, it's a good deal, but what do you of course you can.
You can and you can't. I mean, let me
You can. If you can, that eliminates can't.
Phrase that.
Yeah, but to an extent. So take Elon Musk and Twitter, for example. What does Elon Musk want to do with Twitter? He wants to make it X, the everything app. Mm-hmm. And he specifically, as a model for that, refers to WeChat, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot.
Hey, it's nice. She's new on the block, but who's been telling you the whole, she's been watching the show. Clearly she watches the show. Clearly. Hi, Whitney. Thanks for watching.
A lot of people don't really like WeChat, at least in the US, because it has so much data about everything you do. And if data is the new oil, as is often being said, whoever owns the everything app is going to own most of the data. They're going to be the new oil barons, the data barons of this era, the new Rockefellers.
There's no question about
right?
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Right. Which is exactly why we don't want Elon Musk and his Doge bags breaking into the fucking Treasury and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the fucking military and getting everybody's fucking secrets. If data is the new oil, we don't want him to strike oil out of our fucking backs. You get this? You get this, dumbass? Nobody gives a fuck that this guy's bullshitting everybody about saving money by firing some employees. That's not the point of concern. The point of concern is unelected nobodies with fucking backpacks walking into secure facilities without ever taking an oath to protect the United States and the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, or actually having to answer to a fucking oversight committee because you don't even fucking want to know their names. That's the problem. Doge is a heist. It's a fucking heist. It's a heist.
WeChat, the same parent company of WeChat, is a major investor in Tesla and their most active shareholders. So it's kind of weird a little bit.
Chinese company.
Kinda.
Yeah. So I think it would be, why does he want to replicate the same thing?
WeChat is a big investor in who?
No, the parent company.
It's another sad moment for Peanut Butter Dickhead. His world. Don't get me wrong. Right after this, he'll go back to bullshitting everybody. There's not going to be like a moment of conscience that is triggered by this.
WeChat, I think it's Tencent, if I'm not mistaken.
Is a big investor in what?
In Tesla.
In Tesla.
By the way, when Trump says no president's ever gotten 10 cents, what he doesn't understand is that they're talking about going after Tencent, the company, and shutting it down. And somebody told him we should shut down Tencent in China because it's a bad company and we can't shut it as a foreign company or whatever. There's we'd have to sanction the shit out of it and stuff. And what Trump heard was they've never gotten 10 cents when previous presidents haven't been able to get 10 cents. And neither has he, by the way.
Mm-hmm. and he wants to bring WeChat.
Man, is that room getting fucking quiet. Listen to the chair flutter in this.
What?
In Tesla.
In Tesla.
And he wants to bring WeChat here, right? You know, I personally, you know, if you're against the WEF, sort of like, you know, Musk postures about being against the WEF, and they're all about this type of, you know, digital
WEF
ID.
being World Economic Forum.
Well, sorry,
Yeah.
World Economic Forum. But it's not just exclusive to them, right? There's a lot of other interested parties,
Sure.
including Bill Gates, for example, a big force behind ID 2020 and all of that. A lot of this particular network's very interested in.
She's very good, by the way, at looping. She brings up Gates every so often and Clinton to make these assholes feel better about the fact that she is bursting their Musk balloon so brutally.
Creating sort of this everything app, because everything you do, finances, social media, all of it is in one centralized place, and you get all that data.
Like a
right?
super app.
Yeah.
What is this ID 2020? What is that, Jen?
It's a public-private partnership that was overseen. It was created under the aegis of the or the auspices of the United Nations, and I think it's the Rockefeller Foundation.
It's a digital ID thing is what they're trying to do. So you can have your ID on your phone, since there's facial scanners on your phone, that you can, instead of having to carry a card or a passport, they can scan your face. It'll be in the system. And there's it's like the world system that's being set up where it uses 3 different server setups to identify you, but none of them hold your data all at once.
And it's some other nonprofits that were created by the Gates Foundation, like Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. But Bill Gates is a big proponent of this whole digital ID paradigm, for sure. Yeah. But, I mean, the benefit of it, if you're one of these guys, you know, you get all the data and you can sell it to security agencies. You can sell it to whoever.
Also, if you'll notice, the ID 2020 thing has more to do with the fact that in the third world, there is no ID. So what they always link it to is like what I said, that it's like Chinese facial scans everywhere. But the world system, again, that is based on sort of a Western system, is that if there's one of these scanners and you put your face in front of it, it tells that you're a real person, because it can use like LiDAR and sort of some sensors to tell that there's real blood flow in your veins and your eyes are real, and they react honestly like a Voight comp in Blade Runner. It could tell you're a real person, but also the cameras on it scan your face at multiple angles, and there's a server one place that only holds this part of people's heads, and then there's a server over here that only holds this part, and then there's a code that you are the only one that has that attaches to all those images at once. It says, yep, that's them, and then it goes back apart. So nobody has access, nobody can recreate your face exactly for real, right?
Right, because if data's the new oil, that's the way to make money. So you get everyone's data on that app. That's one thing. But at the
Fucking crickets when she's talking. It's so good.
same time, keep in mind, too,
Like Roddy Piper's glasses. Put on the fucking glasses. Yeah, bit.
Musk is a military and intelligence contractor. And historically, if you look at the ambitions of the national security agencies as it relates to mass surveillance, they have wanted a thing like that for a very long time. Have everyone's data in one place. We can know exactly what they're doing at all times. And then also there's this interest on their part as well of using AI to predict what will happen, sort of this pre-crime paradigm in a sense.
Like Minority Report, where they know what's happening before it even happens.
Well, it's
Yeah, not quite. Minority Report had 3 psychics in a swimming pool.
been
This is pattern recognition.
piloted or has been piloted in the past by companies like Palantir, Peter Thiel, who, you know, did PayPal with Musk, right? The predictive policing. And actually, William Barr under Trump created a pre-crime program in the United States called DEEP under the.
Oh God! You could just like it's like the sound of balloons with the air leaking out of.
Department of Justice that has arrested some people for their social media posts and stuff like that.
Arrested for their social media posts?
Under the guise that they're preventing mass shootings before they happen. Well, that was at the time. That was the big concern at the time, right?
There's a part of that. There's a part of that that
It's a slippery slope, you know?
It is, but predictive analytics, take data out. Like predictive analytics, if you want to go have a job that's going to be protected for you for decades, if you want to major in something that's going to be safe, go major in predictive analytics. Everybody's hiring predictive analytics. There's a form of predictive analytics that's without data. A teacher watches a kid in school and says, that's the behavior you're showing this guy is capable of doing something. He's been caught with this, he's been caught with that, and they go and they talk to other teachers and say, let's keep an eye on little Joey. That's a form of predictive analytics to say that this guy's going to do something stupid or that kid's going to do.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. That's not predictive analytics. That's an opinion based on the habitual beliefs of that teacher about which kids have been successful and which haven't, and what they may have read in pop psychology for the last week or whatever. Predictive analytics is exactly that. It's data. It's a computer doing the odds, the mechanical odds of this actually happening. This isn't guesswork. This isn't opinion work.
Some stupid. I get what you're saying. I've seen Minority Report, and
it's a slippery slope.
Totally get its slippery slope.
The problem is when you give those rights away to the government, you're not going to get them back.
There's no question about it.
They keep going.
You know what I saw today?
Yeah, and so she's trying to tell him Bill Barr wanted this under Trump. You think after the next shooting or whatever happens, you think Trump's not going to? I mean, remember? Oh, fuck. Well, shit. Hold on. Trump. What was his favorite thing? I mean. I have to show you this. Hold on one second. So, oops, I can type. Yeah, here you go.
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Well, in the category, you've spoken about it, Mr. President, gun violence restraining orders. They're called, California actually has a version of this, and I think in your meeting with governors earlier this week, individually and as a group,
That's Mike Pence talking, and to the left is Dianne Feinstein, who Trump farted on during this get-together.
Spoke about states taking steps, but the focus is to literally give families and give local law enforcement additional tools if an individual is reported to be a potential danger to themselves or others. Allow due process so that no one's rights are trampled, but the ability to go to court.
Notice how Trump, by the way, he does this all the time, looks up to the side when he's like, I don't know about that whole due process thing.
Obtain an order and then collect not only the firearms, but any weapons.
Also, 56 Nick Rich says arm cross tough guy. I think he crosses his arms when he gets sleepy and he compresses his diaphragm and it makes him even more tired. So that happens a lot. He doesn't do this as like, oh yeah, I'm a boss. It's he feels cold and vulnerable. These are body hugs. Ask like any of those like body language experts. They'll tell you this is not a macho. The elbows aren't flared. He doesn't have his elbows flared out like this. He's hugging himself. He's cold. He's feeling lonely. Lonely. I'm so lonely.
In the possession
Or
of that
Mike,
individual.
take the firearms first and then go to court, because that.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. There you go, peanut butter dickhead. That's your dude.
In the possession
Or
of that
Mike,
individual.
take the firearms first and then go to court. Because
Yeah, come on, obviously. Take the firearms first and then go to court. One more time.
that's another system, because.
Oops, hold on.
Order and then collect not only the firearms, but any weapons in the possession
Or
of that
Mike,
individual.
take the firearms first and then go to court, because that's another system, because a lot of times by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures.
That's it. That's your I'm the greatest thing to happen to the Second Amendment, dude, ladies and gentlemen. Maggots, come get your boy, because he still believes that.
It was great. I saw a video, Rob, I'll send this to you, of what's his name, that validates kind of your point of who's this fantastic president of Canada that everybody,
Justin Trudeau.
the sweetheart of a guy who was
amazing.
Castro's, I think, cousin or something like that. But I want to send this to you. So this kind of validates what you're saying. Rob, if you can just play this real quick. So here's a clip of what he said about guns 12 years ago or 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And he says the one thing about Canada, and he's talking in a very nice, gentle way.
He does that, doesn't he?
He says, this is Canada. We are gun loving. They can never take our guns. You know, we're never going to do this. And like, man, what a sweetheart of a guy, right? And then, 12 years later, effective today in Canada, we will, no more. What happened to this guy? So you have to hear this because it validates what you're saying. If you can play this clip.
Sorry, it validates the thing she was saying about Elon Musk lying about his connection to Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and that his brother is dating very possibly one of the girls that was trafficked by Epstein, and that the funding for X or for Tesla came possibly from Epstein, and the funding for X came from, among other people, Sean P. Diddy Combs.
It's not letting you?
It's not loading.
It's not loading. Let me just play it from here.
Well, while you guys are waiting, the other thing I want to add about this predictive analytics stuff.
Go for it. No, go ahead.
Is that the problem is a lot of these AI algorithms, they're not 100% accurate, right? So if you're making a decision of...
Oh, and by the way, they end up cutting her off, and that's sort of neither here nor there. She goes into another bit about he wants to make it all about the pre-crime thing, and as a way of just, I guess, blowing off everything they spoke of about the fact that Elon and Trump were Epstein's friends and are still friends with Ghislaine Maxwell, and it was all bullshit. And also not successful businessmen, also like involved with people the mob would be disgusted by. That was so 5 minutes ago. Totally, Doug. So yeah, he wished her well. Yeah, I did that song on Sexy Liberal on one of our virtual shows during COVID about how he wished her well. I know this next video is going to make me aggravated. I just know it. Look who's making the rounds with the dude who's going door to door rounding up migrants, except not.
This is a broad question, but we can narrow it down. Is it possible that we suffer because we have non-problem solvers assigned to solving problems?
Yeah, he would be one of them. But secondly, what the fuck do you think putting somebody from the real world in charge of the FAA is?
Yeah. We have people that are tasked with solving economic problems, health problems.
Yes, I would argue that that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been tasked with solving health problems and ain't gonna.
Whatever. Whose real objective is not to solve the problem at all, but to proliferate the problem because they think if I solve this problem, I'm out of a job.
Oh. Really? That's where you're going. Everything is now the old, like, the big three could have given us a spark plug that lasts forever, but they didn't want to because they sell so many spark plugs until somebody did, and then they're like, well, fuck, we're out of this. Never mind. What's better for a pharmaceutical company? There's a new disease that comes out, and you could come up with you sell a bunch of drugs. You sell a bunch of drugs that are for shit that nobody's going to find a cure for any time soon. This is just a fact. And a disease comes along that you could create a vaccine for. Wouldn't it make sense to cure the disease that's right in front of you so that people trust you with your treatments? If you're only in the treatment and you're never in the cure business, how does that benefit you financially? Well, if you're the only game in town, if there was only one fucking company that was, there was only Pfizer and that was it, maybe you could get away with it. Maybe. But if there's Pfizer and Moderna and AstraZeneca and then all the government health systems that exist in the world who want to cure these things to save themselves money, and you're competing against all of them, then you wouldn't want to be left behind in like, well, we came up with a treatment for everything else everyone else is curing. Great, thanks. You wasted all your fucking money and all your research and development working on a treatment for something that was curable. How does that make any fucking sense? How? And that's what he thinks. That's what he's talking about. He's taking that and then he's overlaying it on, if we could have solved traffic a long time ago. Maybe we don't want to. Maybe there's a super traffic light that they won't let us have. And so big red light and big green light and big yellow light got together. Shut the fuck up.
If I solve this problem, then
What the fuck are you nodding at, dum-dum? Good God. Yeah, totally. It's the Illuminati is trying to keep us down. We'd had flying cars and jetpacks by now, except these stupid rules.
government shrinks. If I solve this problem, then my importance, my budget, my empire building gets threatened. And so we have.
Or there'd be more for you. Maybe there's a success dividend. Maybe you get acolytes and funding after you leave office. You're like, I shrank the government and they never had to make it big again. So I ran the most efficient housing and urban development they've ever had. We solved homelessness. We fucking did it. And now I went and worked for a giant developer like BlackRock. They hired me just to like maximize profit, minimize outlay. Like, what are you talking about? The secondary outlay, especially in a position of government, after you leave would be everybody. You'd make more money just giving fucking speeches on how you did it, dummy.
People in charge of solving problems who really are not motivated to solve the problem.
Yeah. So I think there's three layers of that. First of all, 100% agree. So,
which is, by the way, a trick that Cenk does with people that he's talking to, and I don't even know what the fuck, why. No, not 100% agree. You do not. Stop lying. You don't 100% agree. And if there's three layers of it, what you mean is, I don't agree with all of it, and here's the parts that I do, bifurcated or trifurcated out.
Number one, I started a group called Wolfpack to get money out of politics back in 2011.
And how much did you raise? A lot of money? You raised a couple $1 million, did you?
Pack.com. And
it was free, and you did everybody worked for free. You just had volunteers. Everybody who worked at Wolfpack didn't take any PAC money. And so you didn't qualify as a PAC because you didn't take any money in? Is that what happened?
So now, what I told those guys is, this has to be temporary. Because if we make it our profession to get money out of politics, then our livelihood depends on us never solving that problem, right? And there I just described the problem with so many nonprofits.
Well, again, I don't know how you make a living of any sort off of a PAC where nobody's supposed to make any money. Why didn't you just crowdsource from the Young Turks audience, and instead of raising money for candidates and trying to, beat them at their own game, why don't you make it a free endeavor of volunteers, and it only works until people don't want to volunteer anymore because they don't think it's effective, or you solve the problem. But you don't raise money and sit on a part of it, dummy.
And, cause-related issues, both left and right. If you solve the problem, then you don't need the group. And so and again, none of this is a conspiracy. They never write it in a memo.
Okay, asshole. For the record, then the argument would be, never be against a blue ribbon committee of rich people. Because they're the only people who don't need the money. That if Mark Cuban's trying to deal with healthcare because of his program that he's been working on, or Jeff Bezos with the Amazon healthcare program, and they come up with a way to make it cost effective and they're going to solve it for everybody else, then let them. Don't ever bitch about it, I guess. Right? They don't need the money. So they're not doing it just to stay afloat. It sounds like they're really trying to do it. And if you're only doing it because you can make a living doing it, maybe you weren't for it in the first place.
It's just a groupthink of like, oh, yeah, well, we should do this naturally, right? And that thing never solves.
What?
I was talking to a leader of another left-wing group now about a decade ago, and he says, you guys, Wolfpack guys, you're radical populists and stuff, and you want to upturn the whole system. You don't know anything. I've been working on getting money out of politics for the last 40 years. And I said, how's that going for you? And the answer is, it was going pretty well because he has a nice house in McLean, right? But it wasn't going well for the rest of us. So that's problem number one.
No, okay. First of all, if that's what he was working on, that does not mean that the fucking organization or his effort was paying for his fucking house. No, that's not number one. Name and shame him or shut the fuck up.
Okay, but that's not the only problem. So
it's not even a real problem. An anecdotal dude that you assume only paid for his nice house through his activism instead of it being parallel to whatever else work he does, if he's a lawyer or something like that, or he's got the ability to work on it in his free time and he does pro bono work. God knows, like, he's not even saying it. He does, maybe he does all of his stuff as a volunteer in that. Again, I call him out. Name and shame the motherfucker or shut up.
When we go to elect people, and this was a hard one to solve, what is the skill set you need to get elected? You need to be charismatic, dynamic, really be able to carry a message in whichever way that you do, in a way that...
No. Biden wouldn't qualify. Bush 2 wouldn't qualify. Bush 1 wouldn't fucking qualify. Jimmy Carter wouldn't fucking qualify. Ford wouldn't qualify. None of these guys were like orators, dummy. What you're saying is you like how this system works because you think it favors the bullshitter, and you are one.
Resonates with people. Now, what's the skill set you need to govern? Wait a minute. That's a totally different skill set.
Yeah, but they're not mutually exclusive. And by the way, and the sales pitch on somebody who can move a crowd is that he can also motivate a smaller group of people who are there to work on his behalf or her behalf as part of an administration or in league with their fellow compatriots in the House and the Senate. If I can rouse you guys up and get you on board, I can certainly get these dickheads on board. This is dumb.
You need to be able to manage. You need to be efficient. You need to be inclusive rather than fighting for your own side.
I'm sorry. Have I died and gone to 1937?
Sometimes it's just apples and oranges, and sometimes the skill sets are diametrically opposed. If you're great at beating up the other side and winning an election, you might not be very good at governing.
I know, Murph. I agree. What's up, buddy? I know. Hold on. You coming in? Hey, Murph came in to see me. Hold on one second. Are you gonna run away now? What'd you do, buddy? Yeah, you okay? Hi. Yeah, come here. He's gonna run away. Can you grab him for me? Pass him off. Come here, buddy. You can't escape. Come here, you. I know. Hi, buddy. Oh, I know. You're a monster. But everybody wants to see you. If you come in and meow at me, they want to see you. I know. Hi, buddy. You're such a handsome man, though. Everybody look. You're such a handsome boy. Yeah, you are. I know. I know you just hate it. Yeah, I know you hate it. Until you ask me to. I know. Yeah? Well, what is it? Yeah? Tell me a story. You don't know? Aw. That's terrible. Tell them. Tell them what happened. All right, you don't want to? Okay, I'll let you down. There you go. Well, I know, buddy. Hi, the boy.
He doesn't run away.
I know he doesn't. He's just like, I went down. And then he just hangs out and like, unless you still feel like petting me a little bit. Come here.
Mouthy.
Yeah, you're just loud.
You're just mouthy.
That's Murphy, everybody. Yeah. Thanks, Murph. Yeah. Keep telling the story. Let's shut my door. Yeah, that's Murphy. Murphy, I gotta say, on a personal note, apparently I've been growing on Murphy. For the longest time, he's definitely Summer's cat. Right? Hold on one second. Let me pause this real quick. Hold on. He's definitely like he was raised to be Summer. Summer being, the the sorceress that she is, said, "I want a cuddly cat," and she wished Murphy into existence, and he will crawl up into her hair and start making biscuits like with his claws out on her. It's like it became irritating. Like she's like, "Get off me!" sometimes, and so I decided to make Murph a project. So I'm like, okay, he likes her pets and he likes my pets, but he likes hanging on her. So I will slowly, through my scratches and stuff, I will start to like lure him to my side. And now you can see, like, even when he comes in and he runs away, he doesn't run as far and he just kind of goes, "Oh, what's going on?" And in bed at night, this is a little TMI. I apologize, Substack. You didn't sign up for this, but you're getting it. You're getting the blunt end of this. Murph will, like, he'll come up on the bed. He'll do like a little walk circle like a dog, turn around and flop next to my leg. So he pile drives me on the leg to like let me know he's there. And then the game is I pick him up, which he used to hate, and I drag him up here and I put him on my shoulder and he buries his head in my hair. And then I give him pets and scratches until he's fed up. And then he acts like, "What are you doing?" And then he gets up, and he used to run and jump completely off the bed and be all irritated and loud. Now he goes, "I don't like this anymore." And he gets up and goes like 7 inches away. And he's like, "Oh, well, maybe. I don't know, maybe." And then he does the loop again. Now it's become a thing. So he does it like 4 times a night. So he does this circle over, flop over. I pick him up, pet him till he gets irritated. Then he gets up, does it around again, flop, pick him up, more pets, and he starts purring. And then he gets irritated, and then he does it again 4 fucking nights. It's 4 times a night. I mean, it's so funny, but it's really sweet. And now he like he never used to weave between my legs, like, but do the whole like cat in between, around your feet. Now he does it. It's super adorable, super great. So all right, where am I? Let's go. Is this head on here? And by the way, hi. Let's see. Is this that far behind on Substack? I'm gonna bring this thing up. Make sure I can see the chat in there. Or did it only last a little while? Did it stop? My live stream stopped on air. Oh no! Did it only last a little? Okay, there we go. All right. Hi. Say something in the chat room if you're watching on Substack, just so I know, because I reset the image so I could see if it was still running. I'll send myself some love because that's cool. All right. Now we don't hear Chank's bullshit with Dr. Phil, but I just wanted to show you that in terms of this is the sales point. Yay! Thanks, Mozart Rat. Thank you, Andrea. On Substack. This will be a new thing. I will keep this running on there as long as I can. It's a little bit annoying in the setup. I think it might auto set up from this point on if I start a new live one. We think. I might not have to update like the stream key stuff like I have to do with Instagram every time. If I don't have to, that'll be so fucking sweet. I might do a test later just to see. But Megyn Kelly has on Caroline Leavitt, the spokesperson for the Trump organization, in front of her the painting of a wheat combine that Georgia O'Keeffe painted. Sorry. Excellent furniture on this. At least she has the decency to have a teensy little coffee table in between her and the cat lady. She's wearing cat skin. She's wearing a cat burglar on their little Sirius XM set that she insisted on, with her screen in the background. It's just, this is part of our podcasting studio to let you know we're down with the. But we don't. This is what we're real. That's why we use microphones in our faces. We don't wear those stupid lavaliers like they do on real news programs. Which is, by the way, let me tell you something. These kind of microphones are now performative. I use one because it's just me in here, right? And it's just way easier than clipping on a lavalier. But as soon as they get a lavalier that keeps like charged up the way I want, I'd pop that sucker on in a heartbeat. Then I don't have to worry about the battery dying. But if you've got a team that's doing this kind of show, you can also do lavaliers, and you don't need a mic at all, and you can just sit and talk. But they use these microphones to make you think, well, we're just like Rogan. We're so real. We're like real and stuff. It's just pitiful. All right, so this is how Trump is delivering on his campaign promises and dealing with global crises with Caroline Levitt. Let's see.
News, and this is a turn, but
Oh, sorry.
the Bebas stories in the news today, those two babies.
Terrible.
It's affecting.
Oh, by the way, so if you don't know, she just started this. I have not watched this. I don't pre-watch these things. But the Bebas story she's talking about are the family that was taken. The father was released. The wife and the two babies were dead. Apparently, not only were the kids strangled at some point after they were brought to Gaza, they had their bodies dashed against a wall or something in front of the mother, it would seem. And then she was killed. They've had their bodies since. It's fucking awful. Just awful. And then when they returned the babies and the mother, the mother wasn't in the actual coffin. It was just a Palestinian woman. They just took another body. And the argument is that I think they sent her the next day. They found her body, but they just threw a dead body they had in there. Arguably because of what was done to her. It's really awful. It's a fucking terrible story. Yeah, it's just those three coffins. They've made them adult size, but there was a 4-year-old and a 9-month-old in two of them. 4 years old, 9 years, and full body coffin. You know why? Because they didn't want to carry a child's coffin because it didn't look good in their little parade. Fucking yikes. Anyways, whatever this idiot was saying.
Affecting me.
Yes.
It's it just as a mother.
I agree.
And you have a baby
I know.
that's 7 months.
I get chills thinking about it. And I was saying yesterday, I spoke to the president about it yesterday morning, and he had seen the footage of the coffins. And I asked him, how should we even describe this? And talking to our team after, I was...
Really? The dude has a 9-word vocabulary.
Drafting up a tweet, and I was like, there are no words to put out a statement to describe this horrific scene. I cannot imagine the pain of that father and husband who just lost his entire family. And to say we mourn with him is an understatement. Yep. It's so sad. The images of that mother holding her babies.
She looks so scared.
So scared.
Yeah, it's from the video of when she was taken.
There's no words, and I think I'm pretty good with my words, and there are no words to just describe how sad and heartbreaking it is. But I think it underscores why we need to end this conflict, why we need to...
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, this woman and her 2 children and their husband were taken on October 7th. The husband was returned alive. The mother and the 2 kids were dead within a month, it seems. And the kids were strangled and beaten to death. And then the mother was beaten and stabbed. Just fucking awful. And there are words for it. It's evil. It's a war crime. It's inexcusable. It's disgusting. And the people that did it will never be able to pay enough for the people who didn't participate in it. But I don't think they have the capacity in the White House to even grasp the greater issue at hand.
Eradicate Hamas, and the president sees these images and he's moved by them. And that's why he told Hamas very directly in the Oval Office, you will release all of these hostages or there will be all hell to pay. Mm-hmm.
No, he said all hell would break out when the phrases break loose, and he didn't say there would be hell to pay, and also they didn't, and they haven't.
Dictated that statement months ago, and look at what has happened. There was an extension to the ceasefire. More hostages have come home. We released Mark Fogel from Russia. The whole world should...
Yeah, that's not related.
Take President Trump very seriously. He wants innocent people to be let out of captivity and free from captivity.
And people who aren't innocent, namely the Jan 6ers.
And he is a peacemaker. He believes in peace to his core, and he's...
Yeah, he totally believes in peace to his core, which is why he said we own Gaza and we're going to move all the Palestinians, all 2 million of them, to other locations forcibly and using, I guess, whatever military means are necessary to do that. And then we'll rebuild the whole thing and it's going to be just beautiful. And everyone in the world, the people of the world will come to Gaza and live there. All the people of the world except the Palestinians, who will be the only group not welcome to come to Gaza, apparently.
Going to do whatever it takes to establish it.
Trump is good at stoicism, which we tend to like in our men.
What? Stoicism? He's a whiny bitch. He's not stoic. He's a sociopath, stupid.
Right?
Very much
At least
so.
we on the right.
Yes.
But when he sees something like that, I'm curious about his reaction when that news was brought to him and they were literally celebrating these dead babies in coffins over there. Do you think he feels it on like that gut level that we do?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he doesn't show it and he kind of ignores it and he goes, "Where's my Diet Coke?" But he says it in a way that he's said in a way that like I know he feels for those little kids are never going to get to have a Diet Coke, and so he wants to have one of them for them. And he was like, "One for me, one for my homies." Get the fuck out of here. So stupid.
Absolutely. He does. I could hear it. I was on the phone, so I couldn't see his expression, but I could hear it, in his voice. And
yeah, you can just tell when he's, I mean, obviously he could have been on the toilet.
Anybody with a heart, with a humanitarian heart, has to feel for these innocent Israelis and these families. It's
got to be
disturbing
now, like this particular family and being released in the way that they are for a reason. And all I can hope and pray is that like God is, he's steering this in the way it's happening so that we're reminded of that these are monsters. I don't see these people as human. I really don't know. Somebody who could strangle a 9-month-old baby, you're not a human being. I don't know what you are, but you can't be negotiated with. You can't be accommodated. You must be annihilated. And that's.
It's funny that that Putin sends the Wagner mercs in to rape their way through Bucha, for example. Not only sexually assaulting and murdering children, but they booby trap the corpses in case anybody checks on them. Somehow, Trump's got to negotiate with them because, you have to. But these guys, they're animals. Interesting.
President Trump's job. And in a way, it's your job. It's why I almost see when we were talking about you going back to work, okay, 4 days after you had a baby, it's hard for a number of reasons, physically and emotionally. But it's almost like a soldier being called up.
Yeah, tell that to Pete Hegseth, because he thinks women can't serve in the military. You do realize how insane you're sounding right now, right? It's not at all. And if you said that to Pete Hegseth or anybody in Trump's military cabinet, they'd all laugh at you. No, it's nothing like that, woman.
Yeah, I suppose. I haven't thought of that analogy, but I felt compelled, to go back to work, just knowing the gravity of the work that the president was trying to do at that time. We were campaigning and pitching to people why he should be elected, and obviously it worked. And that's been such a fun part of this experience.
Well, you had help.
Is seeing the president go from campaigning to governing and watching all of his promises come to life. You talk about the monsters of Hamas, the illegal immigrants that we have here that have taken the lives of American citizens. I was at the rally in Georgia when a few days after Laken Riley was killed. And Laken's mother was backstage with the president and met him for the first time. And I witnessed that encounter. And God bless.
And you only passed the same bill that Democrats were trying to pass by using her name to do it. What did you decide in that moment to leverage this poor woman's name to get Republicans on your side to have a cover so they could sign off on a bill that Democrats were already supporting? Good Lord.
Bless that woman.
Yeah.
But then to see her at the White House for the bill signing, the first piece of legislation that the president signed into law,
and only, I think,
named after her beautiful daughter, was so special. And she,
especially because the content was basically already in existence a year ago, and they could have signed off on it. As a matter of fact, 90% of it's been sitting on Mike Johnson's desk the entire time he was House Speaker.
He was there teary-eyed saying, President Trump is a man of his word. To see that come to life and to see the president fulfill these promises
like the
that
mom
are
of Mark Vogel.
Exactly.
The guy the Russians
95-year-old mother. The president met her in Butler. She was supposed to have a call up on stage. It was inserted into his speech. He was going to call her on stage so she could advocate for the release of her son.
The day he got shot.
The day he got shot. So she never made it on stage.
Oh my gosh.
And she told CBS News following the assassination attempt, that the president was so warm to her, and he told her backstage, if I'm elected, I will bring your son home. And he did it within 4 weeks.
So Trump gets Vogel home right away. Trump basically made this hostage deal happen between Hamas and Israel, saving lives, and at least in this case, returning
Biden negotiated it.
The bodies of the dead to their families so they can be properly buried. Trump does what he says he's going to do with Laken Riley's mom. Trump
names the bill after the girl, but the bill was already in existence and could have been signed into law, but Republicans wouldn't vote for it last year. You could argue that if it's been there long enough that you could actually, if they'd have just signed off on it before it was named after her, if Republicans had passed a bill they would have liked passed even back then, she'd still be alive, possibly.
The time with the Gold Star families from the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal when Joe Biden never did, who stood by him then when they tried
no, he called all of them
to attack him for going to Arlington Cemetery and somebody taking his picture in a certain area.
No, there wasn't somebody taking. You're allowed to take single pictures. You can't use them for campaign promotion. You can't use them for documentary purposes without permission. You certainly can't use it to sell a product, which is yourself.
They all stood by him, came out publicly and saying, stop that. He's been good to us. It just, you might say, if you...
He wouldn't have stood with them. Wait. No. You don't get points for them coming out. Again, he wouldn't have stood with them if they weren't sycophants. They weren't coming to the defense of somebody. Like, he didn't wander up randomly to people there. He was there with supporters. They were there to film a campaign video to make him look like he gives a shit.
You're an objective observer, not suffering from TDS, that this is actually a good man. What do you think people...
I don't know. I don't think a good man would have been friends with Jeffrey Epstein for a quarter decade. I also don't think a good businessman would have to scuttle entire agencies to find 2% of programs he doesn't like and cut the funding for them. He might have just been able to, I don't know, have somebody on staff go through the fucking books.
Are missing. Why do the lunatics who suffer from TDS not...
No. TDS is an affliction that makes people like Trump in spite of the fact that they, for example, were victims of sexual harassment and he was a serial sexual assaulter, and they're willing to put that aside because they somehow worship him for reasons unknown, for the illusion of the things that he will give or the illusion of his success as a business. That's Trump derangement syndrome. You'd have to be deranged to think this dude is a good guy. And again, if he's as smart as he says he is, with the memory he says he has, with the intellect he says he has, and the genius genes that he says he has, why the fuck would he need Elon Musk to come in and take a wrecking ball to entire agencies when you could assign some low-level staffers and they'd have done the same fucking thing without firing a bunch of veterans in the process?
Not see it. Why can't they get...
Megan, here's why. You don't talk to anybody who doesn't agree with you, ever. There might have been a time when you did. There might have been a time when you sat across from people who were, in a broader spectrum of conservatism than you were, or a broader spectrum outside the Fox ecosystem, the soft Fox visitor, as it were. Now that's over. Now it's just you seeking out people who will literally, you're talking about like Blue Sky being a fucking echo chamber. That's all these shows are now. Yes, she has TDS. And how could you not if you only invite people on your show that thinks the sun shines out of Trump's ass and they need a tan?
Beyond their hatred of him.
I think they're blind.
I don't know. Why would you be okay with a guy who was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for a fucking quarter decade? Or a quarter century, rather. Why? Why would you be okay with that? Why would that never bother you? And I honestly, I only have one question for Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly, how long would it have took you to realize Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile? How long? How many years would you have been friends with him? To where he's like, he actually says in an interview, Megyn Kelly's my best friend. I was the person she called the most. That's what he says about Trump. And the record bears it out. Now, I don't think Trump has any real friends, but that's another thing entirely. But that's what he said. And Trump was very happy to big him up for a very long time. They partied, baby. So the question is, how long would it have taken you? How long?
Blinded, unfortunately, by their hatred. And they don't see the good
Of Jeffrey Epstein?
Because likely the news outlets that they pay attention to don't share the good that we're doing. I have MSBSC. I'm sorry, you think I don't watch the networks that talk up Trump's game all the time? You don't think I see the smoke machine that you guys, will into existence every fucking day? It's almost all I watch. And I'm still not convinced. NC, as we call it, on my TV in my office all day long because I want to see what they're reporting and what they're saying. And I need to laugh every now and then too. And they're never reporting on the good that we're doing on a daily basis at the White House. It's always negative.
Well, here's your chance, kiddo. Go for it. Tell me some of the good. Tell me how it's the biggest deportation that America's ever seen of illegal migrants, and they're all criminals. And don't let the fact that the numbers are almost exactly the same as Biden and Obama at their height bother you. Just make it up. Just go ahead. Tell us how your slapdash bullshit attitude about federal funding has shut down a bunch of, food programs and farm aid and fired a bunch of veterans who work in the government because you can't be bothered to do your due diligence around any of these things. Tell us the good. Maybe we're missing it. Maybe I haven't seen it. And again, this is a platform. I don't even know why you talk about anything else.
100% of the coverage is negative. Mm-hmm. So when you are being indoctrinated with such bias, of course you're going to believe this person is an evil monster when it couldn't be further from the truth. I know.
Yeah, it could. I got to tell you, the distance between evil monster and friend of Jeffrey Epstein, who would wish Ghislaine Maxwell well while she's in jail, is way closer to evil than furthest from. Okay? The truth about him is not the furthest thing from evil by any stretch. Doesn't even exit the fucking stadium.
That just looking at what he's done, but also on a personal level, working for him.
Yeah, I don't care. Of course you like him. You're a sycophant. You don't get to come here and spackle the holes in his soul closed and get mad at us for noticing them.
But again, I think it's a smaller and smaller percentage of people in this country who feel that way. I think the vast majority of Americans see the president as a strong and tough leader who, when he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. And that's just been proven by his first term record. And then, of course, the first 4 weeks. Look at all that he's done.
Their executive orders. he's attempting to seize as much power as he can in the administrative state. He hasn't actually done these things. He signed one bill into existence. Hasn't done a budget yet. Not going to anytime soon. That's the low-hanging fruit. Can't even manage that. The Laken Riley Act, again, only passed because Republicans could sign on to it because it had her name on it. But it was the same fucking bill the Democrats were pushing. Why didn't they vote for it before she died? Because they were waiting to slap her name on it? And that's the only thing he signed that's a bill, that's actually a law. He can't even pass the budget on his border funding.
Observation over here is that some of that little dip in the polls is due to.
Excuse me? Excuse me? Dip in the polls? There's been no dip in the polls. It's gone nothing but the numbers have skyrocketed upward. Now, am I glad Megan brought up the fact that he's had a dip in the polls? Sure. Is she trying to give it a soft landing? Absolutely. Is it hilarious? Of course.
These guys. It is wall-to-wall negative coverage of.
Or it could be the impacts of the stuff that he's doing. And again, if everything he was doing was working, no amount of negative coverage would be able to sink it. You just go, well, he's actually doing it, man. I saw this busload of fucking face tattooed criminals being driven out of the country, right? And he didn't accidentally sweep up U.S. citizens or anything like that, which he did.
Look at this one CNN poll, all right, today, which shows a dip to some extent in the approval. They get to, listen to this, the Trump policies, trying to deport 11 million undocumented migrants. Okay, whatever.
Illegal aliens.
Right.
Right, yeah. And again, I would like to point out the fact that he's trying to deport 11 million, which is the number, close to the number of all of them. That's how many are in here. Not 15 million, not 20 million, not this bullshit number he was selling. 11 million is the number. It's about 10.4 million people. And again, they call them undocumented. And I don't know why that would, I don't know, maybe that would make people more angry if they thought they were illegal, whatever.
So
That's what
fine,
they're called.
the public's still with him, 51% of U.S. adults support. And then we get down to USAID. Shutting down the agency that provides humanitarian aid in low-income countries. Oh, amazingly, 59% of the American public opposes that. I would have gathered that you would have styled that a little differently.
Interesting framing of a program that has sent hundreds of millions of dollars to overseas programs that do absolutely nothing for humanitarian purposes.
With the Trans Opera in Colombia, it's a no.
Why are we...
Again, listen, dummy, $40 billion budget for that agency alone. Don't even fucking wake me up for less than half of that. And again, handing it out to an NGO that deals with like LGBT safety and security, and they do it through art because that's how you convince the masses to be on board with a lot of things. That it helps. It works. Oh, thanks, Colleen.
Why are we funding vasectomies in Mozambique? Why are we funding DEI in Serbia?
Also, why aren't we funding? I would think Stephen Miller would be for sterilizing people. That sounds like a Republican program.
And sex changes in Guatemala. That does nothing for working class people in this country.
Also, again, this is where a situation where USAID gives $3 million to a company that gets $6 million worth of funding. The other half comes from elsewhere. But anything that was done we don't like was paid for with U.S. tax dollars. Anything we do like wasn't or doesn't exist.
And that is just one agency of many, one program of many that Doge and the administration are looking into. It is fascinating, but also infuriating.
Yeah, it's not waste, fraud, or abuse. You just disagree with the programs. It's listed. You found it. I mean, the more detail you find about it, the more you're like proving your point. Our point. You're proving that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. that it is visible, that you can have access, that the stuff is listed, and that the Congress, the oversight committees in the Congress and in the Senate are allowed to look at these things. They can see them. And they either sign off on them or they let it pass because the USAID is allowed some level of wiggle room without having to be micro-fucking managed.
What they are discovering on a daily basis.
Are you getting...
No, it isn't. No. It's a heist. They're full of shit. They're not discovering this on a daily basis at all. Their overall number hasn't gone up. Here, I'll show you. Hold on. Let's see. Doge website. Oh, huh. Let's see. Department of Government. It's the spending tracker. Oh, I want the Department of Government Efficiency. Where is it? Load up. There you go. Number hasn't moved at all. Let's balance budget. Doge's total estimated savings are $55 billion. Hasn't changed in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. As soon as they got rid of USAID, they thought, oh, USAID just evaporated. Therefore, all of its budget plus whatever we find, if we get rid of these other programs, we're going to save this money. A, no, you're not. And B, if they're finding new stuff all the time, why is that number not budged? Also, it's a fraudulent number. I've been through this. We've gone through this shit a bunch of times. Have they even updated this shit? Let's see. Uploaded on description. Okay, so you can't even click through these fucking things. You can't even reorganize them. This is the savings number, which is also bullshit. What a terrible website. Like, this is literally shit. Where's the scroll point on the bottom? Like, where's the scroll bar? Bunch of stuff on here is counted multiple times. This is their spending tracker for their like outlays. How much is being spent, I suppose. Total spending trend. Again, this hasn't moved at all either. Neither of these have updated. The numbers aren't related. This 79.46.842 billion has been the same. This 55 billion has been the same. They're not finding new stuff every day. It's a fabrication. It's a lie. It's garbage. It's a heist. Doge is a heist.
You know, a closer up view, yes, but like, are you getting more insight
Yes.
on how they do it now that you're in this role?
Yes.
Yeah, tell us how Doge works.
Absolutely. And it's much more simple than the media is spinning it to be. They're making it seem like it's this chaotic operation. It's actually not. It's very simple. Doge has individuals who are, again, genius level tech nerds, if you will.
Yeah, like what's his name? That, you know, the really smart guy who works with him. His name is his real name is, what's his name? Who do they answer to? Who do they talk to? I mean, I'm just talking for like transparency and taxation with representation. Who, we're just going to describe them loosely,
for lack of a better term, who are on.
How about geeks, incel, childless incel assholes?
Onboarding at every agency as political appointees, just like I onboarded as at the White House.
Nope. They're not political appointees. Elon Musk is now, but he is separate from Doge. The Doge guys are not political appointees.
As a political appointee, this is what happens from administration to administration. And
nope. No, they're a lobbying group. You're just letting lobbyists enter. Elon Musk has a lobbying group that he has named Doge, and they are getting access to private facilities. That's what this is. They're not public servants. They are not. They are not appointees. They don't and again, they haven't they brought them. Where's their swearing in ceremony? Fuck, where's Musk's?
instead of like under Biden and Harris, you have a bunch of left-wing bureaucrats who are onboarding. Now we have outsiders who are here to shake up the swamp onboarding to administer President Trump's agenda. They are.
So but they're still outsiders is the problem. Like they don't get FBI background checks. They're not swearing an oath.
Are working at the direction of the secretaries at these agencies. You saw our new Secretary of Ag, Brooke Rollins, put out a photo, a selfie yesterday with some of the Doge engineers that are now Ag employees, and they're helping her dig in.
Yeah, those are Ag employees. And again, those guys will have to swear in. Hold on one second. Let's see here. Hold on, I'll show you. Ag Sec. Doge, yeah, something like that. It's the USDA, excuse me, Doge. Doge works to stop wasteful spending. Ag Secretary Rollins says vital farm programs aren't at risk. This is her conversation. During an exclusive interview with Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins at Top Producer Summit, Farm Journal asked if the Department of Government Efficiency will target farm programs. No, of course not.
Welcome back to Agri Talk. I'm your host, Chip Flory. Glad that you are with us.
Why are you talking at her and not us?
We are live at Top Producer.
Oh, I see his camera's over here, and he doesn't realize that we're on this angle.
Summit in Kansas City, and USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins opened the event for us here in Kansas City. Welcome to Top Producer Summit.
Oh, Chip, it's such a joy to be here. You know, I was just confirmed a couple of days ago, but I really wanted to get out into the country, and I really wanted the opportunity for a lot of these producers and
I wanted to fly around on the taxpayers' dime.
Our ag community to get to know me.
Yeah.
So when I heard about this one, I may have invited myself actually. So that could have happened, but I'm so happy to be here.
We're glad that you are here. There's no question. Your opening comments, along with Senator Marshall, talking about going out and barnstorming the world, created a little bit of a buzz in the room, I will admit. Is that what the tariffs are intended for, is to open the doors for some of those conversations?
Well,
Is that what the tariffs are for, to open the doors on those conversations? Because they certainly aren't there to help farmers make money.
I think that the trade negotiations, the tariffs, which we all know President Trump, he has long talked about them. He believes they're a really important tool in his toolkit.
Yeah.
Notice she doesn't want to make eye contact when she's discussing this with him, except to say Trump. But every other aspect of it, she's too embarrassed to look him in the face, or certainly not directly at the camera.
And I think they go hand in hand. You know, the president is really focused on getting America back to work, back to producing.
Back to the carpet, back to carpet, night lighting, back to Hilton, carpet. Is he still looking at me? Back to carpet.
Putting America first again. And we saw the numbers slide in the last administration. A part of that is tariffs. But my perspective is, while...
Sorry, saw the numbers slide. Part of that is tariffs? You mean other countries' tariffs on ours, or his numbers have slid since the last... Fuck me.
We're having that conversation. Let's get out around the world and let's go cut these deals. Let's use the leverage we have right now. I mean, I think we're all seeing President Trump won not just the Electoral College.
Right.
He won a mandate from the American people.
No, he didn't. 78-75 ain't a mandate, lady. He's barely got a dominant number in the House. He might even lose it before the spring is over. And the Senate isn't on board with all the shit he wants to do. So fuck this mandate nonsense.
And so the world is paying attention. It is a different day today than it was in week 3, 8 years ago.
Yeah, but that's because he's already, I guess, blown up stuff that will protect human life. And it took him like 6 or 8 weeks to do it in the last one. If we're looking at, you know, what he's been able to accomplish and the world being impressed by it, all of it's been through executive order, which is what an administration always has the power to do. Get rid of the administrative executive orders of the last term, from the last presidency, and put your own in. You know, half of them are, you know, signing ones that would end something, and the other one is signing one that's your priority. So a lot of times it's very easy to double the executive orders of the last presidency because you're writing one that eliminates theirs, and you're writing one that ads on whatever you're going to do. So you're going to do 2 for every one. And in many ways, these are regulations. He is deciding where funding can go, where funding will be prioritized. And that in and of itself is a regulation of federal funds, a regulation of administrative funds. And so it's bullshit is what I'm trying to tell you. It's a sales pitch. It's nonsense. It's what every White House does. And everybody's number of executive orders is just going to climb like fucking crazy because the next president's going to wipe out what Trump's done and put their own in. Even if they have one that's similar, they're going to erase his and put their own in just with their own name on it now.
And Trump won. And so how do we take advantage of that for our community? And that's what I'm focused on.
You do realize you didn't say anything, right? You do realize that.
Excellent. I, for one, was encouraged by the fact that your first official meeting after being sworn in, and it was literally within a couple of hours, was on bird flu,
That's
HPAI.
Right.
What is the status and what does it mean moving away from culling the infected flocks? What's the plan?
Yeah, what the fuck are you talking about, lady? And again, this is the big one. What is the plan?
Well, we are still working on the plan right now.
That translation, they don't have one. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to be clear with you right now if I could. This lady just answered the question that this guy was asking by basically just saying, fuck you. What? Yes, I see the green blouse. It's too dark for what you guys are asking.
Now, clearly, this is a massive issue for our poultry.
It's huge. It's so huge, and we're so working on maybe coming up with a plan and hoping it goes away. We're hoping the old plan works so that we can forget about it on our way to the new plan. That's a plan. Huh? What? I mean, if you really think about it, procrastination is a plan that's the easiest to implement.
Producers, especially our egg layers, are that segment of the community.
Yeah, our chicken people. Just say chicken people. Our egg layers. Yes. Like yourself, sir.
And so ensuring that we have a plan, not just for the short term, to bring down.
Yes, that's what he was asking you. What would that plan? What would that plan be? Since you do not have a plan A. Say plan again. Say plan again. Tell us you got a plan again. Yeah, plan, she says, plan.
Down egg prices, which the president's very focused on.
Oh, yeah, he's so focused on the plan. What's the plan?
But for the long term,
what's the long-term plan?
What are the best practices around the world? Why in America have we been hit so hard? Why did the last USDA a couple of years ago, they recognized it as a major issue, but not many steps were taken. So
they had a plan. The number of cases went down. Egg prices weren't this expensive. They were actually doing fucking something. They had, in the colloquial sense, a fucking plan.
So we've got really smart people on this right now, not just from within the USDA.
Not smart enough to have a plan.
But over at the White House who are really focused on it. I've been talking to governors.
What are they focused on? What a series of actions that they could put together in a coordinated effort, often referred to as a plan.
Governors, I've been talking to the companies that are facing this. I've been talking to grocery.
Egg layers, chicken people, yeah. Trying to find somebody with a plan. Have you been asking them? Maybe they've got a plan.
We've been talking to everyone, trying to come up.
Didn't ask me, did you? So I guess not.
With an all.
I know something about eggs. I need one to raise my dough.
Talk about the toolkit, a big toolkit to be able to really approach this and hopefully figure out a way to.
Oh, figure a way. What's another word for a way? You mean like a plan?
Again, solve it for the long term.
Will vaccines be part of one of the tools in the toolkit?
Vaccine.
Are vaccines part of the plan? Demic? Huh? Is this part of the plan-demic? Are we entering a new plan? Demic? Huh?
Vaccines are being discussed right now.
Okay.
Are they?
I think that there is a lot of opinion on that on both sides.
No, pretty much just one opinion. And then there's on one side there's science, and on the other side there's opinion. I would say go with the science, but what do I know? All I've got is a plan.
And we're working through all of that right now.
Okay.
You're working through all of it? Really? Looks like you're sitting. Doesn't look like you're working through it. Looks like you're taking a trip out to talk and give a speech. Doesn't sound like work at all. If you got to come up with a plan, maybe talk about the plan before you actually go give a speech about the fact that you don't have a plan, about the single biggest issue facing egg layers and chicken people.
Okay. Disaster aid, economic aid. It was approved by the last Congress. It's been
in the last administration.
A little, I shouldn't even say that, it's a little slow coming out, but what is the status?
Yeah, I shouldn't even say that. I shouldn't even say it to your fucking face, lady. It sounds like there's no plan.
What should we expect?
It's got to move quickly.
Okay.
And now
I agree. Maybe the president could sign something. Maybe he should plan to release the funds as quickly as possible. Maybe he could develop a plan.
now that I'm there, that is...
You're not there. You're in Kansas. You're not there. You're with this guy. You're talking to this guy. You've been there for like a week and a half.
Other than avian flu, that's probably the... When I walk out of here, I'll jump on the phone and we'll start figuring out...
Real quick. You will start figuring out. Yeah, you heard that right. Will start figuring it out. That's what you're going to do? Huh? Here's what you're going to do. You're going to start figuring it out as soon as you're done with this interview in Kansas City at an event you weren't even planning on going to, that you didn't need to go to give a speech about a plan you don't fucking have.
Again, why that isn't moving more quickly? What?
Maybe it's not moving quickly because the person who should be dealing with it is in fucking Kansas City at an event she didn't need to go to, talking to people that already can have her fucking phone number.
We need to do. We've got the team in place. But as you can imagine, you know, I just got confirmed.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody cares. You just got it confirmed and then you left town. Maybe stay there and do your fucking job? Maybe that. Maybe first thing you show up when you get into work is maybe develop a plan.
A couple days ago,
and it didn't take you but a second to go on the road and start glad-handing and patting yourself on the back.
We have the 8 undersecretaries at USDA, one that manages this portfolio. He hasn't even had his hearing yet. So we're...
So there's an acting person in there, and that person who approved stuff before isn't given the permission to give out the stuff because nobody has a fucking plan.
We're a little bit of band-aiding and duct taping and bubblegumming this thing together. But
Hashtag the best people. We're a little bit band-aiding and duct taping and bubblegumming this thing together. Listen, MacGyver, he had a plan.
But please know, and all of your listeners and those watching on TV should know that this is a...
Nobody's watching this on TV, lady. They filmed it for later. You're not on television. You're in a Ramada.
The highest priority.
Okay.
We have the...
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. If it was the highest priority, you wouldn't fucking be there. You'd be in D.C. making it happen while you worked on your plan for bird flu.
Best team in place, and we are going to...
You don't have the best team in place. You just said so. The guy hasn't even had his hearing yet. You don't have the best team. You've got the patchwork team, or you have the people who were there before, or you kicked people out the door who were doing the job before you could replace them, and so it's your fucking fault. It's either your fault, it's Trump's fault, that nobody has a fucking plan.
Move as quickly as humanly possible.
No. You're not going to move as quickly as humanly possible. Asshole, the fastest thing you did was get out of town. You left headquarters to come to Kansas to have your ass kissed.
Oh, I'm sure that when you sat down and took a look at what was happening out there with all of the IRA money that was out across the countryside, and you decided to put a freeze on some of that conservation.
Did that go well?
Money. EQIP is one of the programs that everybody kind of points to.
Excuse me, sir. You're going to need a plan to talk to this lady because she does not know what the fuck you're talking about. Real quick, I gotta bring you this to you. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see. This is. Show you this real quick. Hold on. It's relatively new. So the IRS has new guidance for retirement accounts and farmers. The estate plan edge. Only 40% of farmers invest in qualified retirement accounts, or in other words, not farmland. But the IRS has a rule change that may make retirement accounts more favorable for farmers. So instead of putting stuff into an IRA, you can invest it in your farm. This was under the Biden administration. USDA Economic Research Service report only 40% of farmers invest in qualified retirement accounts. What they're saying is you should be able to count that as an investment in your farm. You might have the right to buy. You might be right in that buy land strategy, but you might want to diversify by investing in at least something in retirement accounts. The easiest retirement account is to set up a self-directed individual retirement account or an IRA. There's a pre-tax version and after-tax version. Roth in 2024. The contribution is $7 per person or $8 if you're over 50. Regardless of whether you invest or pre-tax or after-tax, you have almost unlimited freedom to choose the type of investment you want in the account, and you might want your IRA invested in CDs, you might invest in annuities or whatever, but you can also choose, hold on, where is it? No matter what type of investment you choose, you grow a retirement account with your the pre-tax setting. Okay, directly in stocks and bonds. After-tax accounts, Okay, this is what they're talking about. This is where you can invest in your farm if you want to.
What's the status of that? Is that going to be unfrozen?
Well, we are talking about that right now. Any commitments
No.
that were made previously, we will, of course, fulfill those commitments. That's
no, not of course. No, not of course. You don't know what he's talking about.
the only way to do it. Everything that is
It's not the only way to do it. You can do it the way you're doing it, which is fucking things up.
forward-leaning, that's what we're really focusing on, reevaluating in the current environment.
That meant nothing to him. It's a new program. It started last year. They just geared up to do it. People invested in their IRAs or their Roth IRAs specifically so that they could invest in their farm past a certain point. Once they pass on their farm to somebody else in their family, or as a way of securing pre-tax money. Because they don't work for a giant corporation. They're basically self-employed, so they would be able to do this. It was set up by the Biden administration, and it has to go forward past this year to mean anything.
Gotcha. You also talked with the group about modernizing USDA.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what some of the job cuts are about?
No. No. Yes, it's very hip and modern to fire people.
I think that anytime, and I worked in the last federal government under President Trump, I have a long history in state government, even in a conservative state like Texas. What are your metrics for success?
Sure. And if it's just firing and shrinkage, we're killing it. If you're on the receiving end, it's kind of your ass.
How do you measure whether what you are being called to do and what the taxpayers are funding is actually working?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that we'll ever have another chance again to really look deeply at these massive government programs.
Why? What do you think oversight committees do? They do it all the time. What you mean is they won't have an opportunity to illegally fire a ton of people when you don't even know what they fucking do.
And it isn't just obviously on the ag side, but as I mentioned earlier today, it's on the food stamp side. And we're spending a lot of money. It's 80% of the USDA budget on that. So how do we look at all of the above? What are the metrics for success? How do we measure whether we're being successful? Why do these programs keep growing?
Yeah.
Population, poverty, the federal minimum wage hasn't come up. Red states rely on it. Walmart basically subsidizes all their employees with SNAP.
When in fact the goal is to move people off of the program, especially on the food stamp side.
Unless you're Walmart.
So these are all questions that we're asking right now, and we've got really good people digging in.
Okay.
Yeah, really good people. They haven't been, I don't know who they are, and they haven't been, none of them have actually been sworn in or had their hearings yet. But good people that are eventually. Let me remind you kids, I've got I went over because we got distracted in this business. And I think it's good that we got to look at this because nobody's going to give a shit largely about, Brooke Rollins at the USDA. Out in the generalized news. You're not going to hear a bunch of news about that. But the groundswell against the Trump administration are going to start with the people she's talking to. And that guy was asking all the right questions on a boring little show that only farm people watch, maybe. I mean, just garbage. Just garbage. There was, 95 cancellations, 150 minutes. This is what AgWeb is saying, including 2 USD contracts. There was a $265,000 food nutrition service 3-day leadership retreat in Atlanta that was ended, and $30,000 for a Malaysian study tour facilitation services. That's what they cut out. So $295,000 for events and stuff to get people together or to look at biodiversity. So Doge cut those 2 things, which would have been cut anyways, because that's the kind of stuff. Our AG report airs at 5 a.m. Yeah, usually, Dr. 13, a lot of those reports are but in the morning. They're 4 or 5 a.m. up with the roosters, So the current update of USDA, they've cut $115 million, 95 cancellations that included 2 USDA contracts. I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to mean. Live update from our Doge USDA team meeting tonight. Increasing DIA program for integrated pest management. You can't make this up. These are posts on here. The Doge USDA is a... Does it have, one post? Fuck is that? Yeah, that's it. This is the Doge X page. One post. That's it. Doge seeking help from the public. Please DM this account with insights on finding and fixing waste, fraud, and abuse related to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Thank you. That's efficient. Go for it. Is this... I know I'm not going to log in. I don't have an account. Fuck you. This is what you're going to see. Da-da-da-da. Oh, she's in here. Oh, there's Bongholio. Which is, by the way, end of his show, kids. So sad. He got Kash Patel's old job. All right, I got to go. And I've still got a honey-do list over at Ethan's house. So take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. I will see you guys tomorrow. And I will be on, not on my regular show in the afternoon, but I'm also going to join Cliff Schecter's show. And I'm going to co-stream it on here as well. So whenever I'm on his show, I will also stream it here. So we'll double hit it. And then maybe even throw it around on that old Substack over there. Who knows? Who can say? Just saying. Nikki Love says, hasn't America always been working? The world is telling us to go to hell. Yeah, that's happened before too, and it'll happen again, sadly. But you're absolutely right. The difference is that they mainly mean Trump can go to hell. And they know that attacking America is, and here's what I would say to our foreign friends out there. Please just attack Trump. Don't be a wuss about it. Don't the United States split 78-75 voting him in. We're not all in the camp with him, and he's trying to cow and scare everyone and make it that he is America. He fucking isn't. So all I ask from you guys is that every moment you want to shit on America, shit on Trump and the conservatives, there's certainly some of us that deserve a little bit of a blowback, I would guess. But it would really benefit us all if you recognize the threat and if we're a deeply divided country, we didn't suddenly become undivided. We didn't suddenly become indivisible under Trump just because he, won the election by a 3-pointer, right? Nobody gets credit for a mandate on either side until they actually have one, and that includes Trump. And so I'm not going to buy into his bloviated sense of self just because other people do. He's a loser, and he's going to keep losing. It'll be at our expense, and I apologize to the rest of the world for the damage the maggots have done, but that's a conversation for another time. In the meantime, just do some good. Just do some good. It's going to take a lot of local good to push back against the big bad that's out there. So you can do it. I believe in you. And until next time, take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. And remember, more importantly, that if you're ever confronted with a decision you believe is the lesser of two evils, choose less evil. You hear me?
Don't worry, I won't hurt you. I only want you to have some fun.
I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now. Jack and shit. Jack left town.
We've got entirely too many troublemakers here.
I am your father, Luke. Give in to the dark side of the force, you knob. Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
You are physically repulsive, intellectually retarded, vulgar, insensitive, selfish, stupid. You have no taste, a lousy sense of humor, and you smell.
Easy, real nice. If I didn't have puke breath, I'd kiss you.
Did you have shade?
Sportos, motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids,